Hey everybody, welcome to episode 59 of Powerbombshells. I am Sam, that is Mel, and we're not your average broads talking about not your average wrestling, and there's been a lot of it
Oh,
this week.
crap, there's been a lot of let me fix this camera. What is a disaster in here?
Before we get to the wrestling though, Mel says Mel better have, Daza says Mel better have a hat this episode. Yeah, Mel did not for episode 58, which you may have missed 2 days. We did on Friday, we did a recap or post show for Supercard of Honor, and Mel did not wear a hat.
I didn't think about it, and then I did think about it, and by then I didn't want to interrupt the fact that Paul was on the thing, and
Right.
I was like, as it was a recap, I didn't realize we were going to actually number it. And I wasn't thinking about the fact that it was like branded for us. So I should have been wearing a hat because usually don't wear hats when I'm on other people's shows because
that's only for you guys on
It's
Powerbombshells
exclusive.
and only for you people who are on video. For you, those are on audio.
Yep,
you don't get to see that. You don't get to see the hat every week, and that's Mel's gimmick this year.
Yeah, sorry about that, Daza. Yeah. So it was an unfortunate miss because I'm wearing one of my Canvas Theory hats, and our pals at Canvas Theory are actually at the WrestleCon.
Yeah, I saw their booth that they had. I saw them posted on their Insta story that they had a booth. So
I wanted to represent, and I should have won, and I definitely should have at least tried to throw that on there on Friday because I knew that the lads were in town and we're going to be walking around and showing off their fanciful art, their wonderful merch that we love.
Yes, they do have wonderful merch.
They've always supported us.
So. And it ended up being perfect timing because our guy, friend of the show, the former Carl Fredericks, now currently Eddie Thorpe, made his NXT debut last week. So perfect timing because he has a collection with them that you guys should check out. His collection's very cool.
It is, and this is what I'm wearing. Is actually his the Spirit Wolf deal.
Yes,
this is the art part. They've got their branded stuff, which is awesome. But this one is actually I like these ones because they're like they kind of show like what they're capable of coming up with for the people. And I noticed that despite the name change, Carl Eddie is wearing this hat here in his Abby picks, so
as he should.
It's a really this is like if you're into this style of thing, which I am, of course. It's got like Japanese characters on it, and it's and words. So,
and words. Hats are not my jam because they don't look that great on me, but their hats are all really nice. I like and all their designs that they have are really cool too. So
I've been told that I have like that I look good in all the hats, so I just roll with it
so far this year, so I think we can probably confirm that.
So people like it. That's fine. I have no problem with it. Half the year when it's cold because of the my scar side is very cold sensitive. So in like for at least half the year here in Michigan, I gotta wear a hat anyway when I leave the house. So I do have a fair good collection. Yes. But it's really funny. I think it was just late in one of those deals where I thought that Paul being on there but someone was bound to notice. And
I did notice, but I didn't say anything because I was like, well, maybe she's just like not wanting to. That's not what she's wanting to do today. So I just didn't say anything. And then Paul probably would have been like, "What are you talking about?"
What? Oh, and then he would have felt bad because he doesn't have time to listen to every single podcast that he wants.
Right.
So I didn't wear a hat because I didn't want to make Paul feel bad.
There you go.
See, that's why. So there was a reason.
There's a story.
Backstory.
So your backstory.
There you go. See, it's long-term storytelling, folks.
It is long-term storytelling. Yeah, this is
everybody.
Yeah, and Friday night, my mic started acting up a little bit, so I was like, "Oh, we're trying to make a comeback. We're still mad that we didn't get nominated for Feud of the Year and the Observer Awards." So Mike keeps trying to sabotage me at random times, like it did on Friday.
It is funny though that it waited till WrestleMania, like WrestleCon, WrestleMania weekend.
Sure did.
The collective week. It waited until the biggest wrestling weekend of the year.
Yeah, it sure did. What a jerk. This hill microphone.
Your microphone is a heel.
It is a hill. Oh, there's a picture of it with a bat on our Instagram page.
Right, exactly. We could wrap some little barbed wire around it one of these days.
I'm sure it's coming.
So
The to
that thing
times.
is like, yeah. We should probably not like rag on it too hard. Just
Yeah, because we got a
uh,
whole show to get through to talk about
exactly.
all the wrestling we've watched.
There's been a lot of wrestling on this week.
There has been.
Weekend.
And there's even regular shows this week on top of everything else that happened.
I popped into our one of the New Japan channels on our Discord today, and when one of the people was like, "Did anybody get to the?" And I was like, "Oh crap! Road to Sakura Genesis is happening. Started today."
Yeah, last night we were on. Nikki and I went to a local wrestling show, and we were on the way home, and I was like, "When is Sakura Genesis? Next weekend?" I was like, "I think it's Saturday, right?"
It's the 8th.
So next Saturday.
Next Saturday, the 8th already? Oh my gosh, yes, that makes total sense because we started the weekend on a weekend.
Yep.
Like Actually, I'm really glad that they decided. So the first weekend of the month, here, a little backstory. I know you guys probably, if you've been a listener, watcher for a while, you hear my trains and sirens in the background a lot. The siren, the first weekend of the year, they test it. So they will blare it for just however long they feel like it. And so I was like, I'm glad the first weekend of the month was yesterday. And they decided to do that because they do it right around now. Of course they do.
Yeah, well, good.
But we kind of needed it this week because if you did listen Friday, you may have heard some of the background storming that was going on, and we dodged a bullet and still got some crazy weather there. But and JD, who's the state over from me, we got hit with the same storm, and up the street from him got hit. So
oh no, yeah, I saw him tweeting about it. So yeah, I'm glad that both of you guys are safe.
We weren't. I was waiting. Honestly, I was like.
Yeah,
I may have to run to the basement, but I think they'll understand. But fortunately, it did not get basement bad. So
that's always a good thing.
The weather was reacting to the wrestling. The microphone was reacting to the wrestling.
I know.
I was much. I loved when the weather report, but when the weather warning came out, it was literally like from the start of ROH to the end of our thingy was the time. Of
course. Of course, that was the time frame.
And it was like the warning was from 7 p.m. to 3 or 2 a.m. or something like that. And I was like, listen here.
We have wrestling to watch, and then we have to go talk about it.
Existential reality. Can you not get in the way of my weekend of wrestling?
Right, exactly. We've been waiting all year for it.
Right.
Because the wrestling world they go from Mania weekend to Mania weekend, basically. It's how there's their calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was Joey Janela tweeted yesterday, and he was like, see you in Philly next year. And I was like, already planning out. So yeah, it's year to year from
Is that where it is next year? Is Philadelphia?
I think so. Yeah, because I think that's right, because somebody was talking, because I forgot, today is the independent wrestling Hall of Fame thing is today, and people when they were first making the announcement were like, the Briscoes should go in this year, and Brett was like, no, I think we're going to do it next year because it's in Philly, and at the there's the ECW arena and things like that.
Oh,
and
yeah,
so I think that was, and he was like, that makes more, and he was like, and it's easier for the families to get to and things like that. So yeah, I think Philly is that is correct, that it is next year.
ECW arena,
right,
you name it. I mean, there's a lot of that's
so I think
that's my friend's part of town. Ooh.
You gonna make a trip?
I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see what ROH show pulls out. I think my yearly commitment is really gonna be Forbidden Door.
Yeah, I know. That's perfectly understandable.
And I think we've established that pretty well here.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be my WrestleMania.
Hey, that's you can't do
if I can. I mean, obviously, you never know what's gonna happen in life. But
sure. Well, and where they're gonna move it, because this year it's in Canada, and so who knows where it'll be next year.
Yeah, so could be anywhere.
It could be.
Hopefully, it's someplace new that I've never been, or someplace that my friends are, so I can visit and maybe have a place to crash.
Yes, exactly.
But that's next year.
Yes. So this year, we will get to. I guess we should start talking about these shows we watched.
Okay.
Well, there's a lot of them.
I know you watched a lot more than me. I started a couple, and got through a little bit of each just to kind of get a feel for. Because I signed up for when I went to buy Bloodsport, which I did watch all the way through. They were like, no, sign up for a 7-day free trial and you'll get this for free. And I was like, awesome. It's just what I need. And so it gave me access to all the fun stuff that you actually did watch. So Joey Janela's on there. Effie's on there. Santino Bros is on there. My friend was saying that Lucha World show he hadn't gotten to yet. He wants to.
Yeah, that's a show I got to get to.
Okay,
well.
So no spoilers on that one today.
Because that's definitely one that I want to get to. Because I love some lucha wrestling. Gringo Loco is fantastic and want to support that guy.
There's been some.
So Daza says that he subscribed to the network today for 1 month just to watch Mania. So night one, so that he could contribute today. And I told him that is some dedication and we appreciate that. And we will talk about Mania because I did see a little tiny bit of it, but Mel powered through the entire like 8-hour show.
It wasn't quite. It was actually shockingly.
That's like an entire work day of
it. Honestly, shockingly went. I mean, we'll get to it.
Yeah.
You may be surprised by some of my reacts.
Well,
and you may not be surprised at all by some of my other reacts. But after tonight, the long national nightmare is over, and Mel will no longer be watching WWE on the regs.
Thank you again for sacrificing yourself to do that.
I think it was a good exercise. It was a good exercise in understanding wrestling and what I like about it. And you can always always make yourself a better wrestling watcher. Mm-hmm. By even exposing yourself.
Well, like when I went back to watch, when I watched the Royal Rumble, it just reminded me, I was like, this is why I don't watch it anymore. Mm-hmm. It's like, this is why I was like, I do miss seeing a lot of the people that I really enjoy watching, but I was like, this just reminds me of the things that I don't like about WWE and why I quit watching it like on a regular basis. And then like, even yesterday, like I didn't watch Stand and Deliver, even though Johnny Gargano was on it and I love him. When I am wearing a Johnny Gargano shirt today, nice. Get to celebrate his win yesterday. But yeah, I was like, I love him, but I was like, I don't want to watch NXT. I haven't watched NXT since the week after he left. That's the last. I mean, I did record. I was at dinner when somebody in Slack was like, hey, they're like, Eddie's getting ready to debut. And so luckily, because we live in a first world, it's not really a first world problem. I was able to go record it on my phone. And so I have to watch, but then I forgot about it because I don't watch NXT. And I was like, crap. I was like, I gotta go watch his match. And so, but yeah, I was like, and I'm really happy for him and I hope he does very well, but that's not enough to make me watch on a regular basis. I mean, maybe I would record his matches, but yeah, I mean, I don't even do that for Johnny. I mean, I know Johnny Gargano. I think it was like a temporary thing. I think he's supposed to be going back
and forth.
Yeah, I think it was just basically because Grayson Waller was the one who like ended his NXT career when he left for a little while, and so I think it was basically like to get him back for it. And I guess he's going back to the main roster, is what it kind of sounds like.
Well, I mean, I've seen plenty of Johnny Gargano on Raw and SmackDown. Yeah, I mean, he's shown up on the main shows during the time I've been watching because I pay attention when he's on the screen.
Right,
I actually give a crap about him
with his terrible.
I did hear that Stand and Deliver show was actually halfway good. Like,
yeah, I heard a lot of people were about it.
Like, wow, I'm glad I actually, and Jeff was saying, I don't know if he actually got to the real show, but he said that he was glad he got up for it. So that's good. That's an endorsement. I'll actually,
that's definitely.
That's someone I'll actually like good listening to. I actually feel like we're on the same wavelength there.
I did see that Carmelo won, which I'm very happy for him because he's phenomenal. He's because I saw him a little bit on the indies before he got signed when he was Casanova. What was it? Casanova something or other. I don't know why I just blanked on what it was, but he was really great on the little bit
of his Casanova Frankenstein.
It's not that one, but he was. And so the little bit I did see, and then I mean, of course, I did see him some before I quit watching NXT, and he's fantastic. And Daza is halfway through Stand and Deliver, and it's fun so far. Sorry, I just spoiled that for you. My bad.
Hey, I'm good.
Didn't even put up the spoiler graphic. Maybe we should put it up in case you haven't watched any of the shows we talked about this weekend.
We will periodically throw that up here because we are gonna spoil some stuff more than likely. We're not gonna do every card and every result.
God, we'll be here as long as WrestleMania if we do that.
And I think someone else has a show on this network later today. So
so we should probably
maybe. Yeah. I mean, they might have some wrap up.
I may actually try to, after our show and before Mania, I may try to. There's a couple of shows I haven't gotten to yet, so I may try to get to them before Mania because there's a few shows. Like because of Lucha. So there's 4 shows from the collective that I haven't gotten to yet. I haven't started any of the WrestleCon shows, but my friend said that he went to sign up for the free trial of High Spot so that he could watch. So he could watch the WrestleCon stuff, and they got rid of the trial.
Too late.
They used to be something they offered year round, but I guess because they know people would sign up for the trial to watch things, they did away with it, and so now you have to pay.
I believe that's a bad business strategy.
That's exactly what I told. A
lot of people will forget to cancel for at least a month, and you will get at least a month's worth of payment out of most people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, but
that's exactly what I said. I was like,
that's a terrible business.
I was like, that's a stupid business decision because,
sorry, High Spots, you lose.
Well, and they're already losing out a little bit because when Fight Plus launched, it was $4.99 a month, and that's when when me and all my friends signed up when it was $4.99, and it's gone up to $7.99, which is not, it's only. And look at all the stuff we got for
now. Are you grandfathered or do you?
Yeah, I was grandfathered. No,
I was
grandfathered, so I just paid.
Still going to pay the $5. So
a month.
It.
So I got I got all of these collective shows for $5.
Right.
And I've used it for other things because I've watched a Wrestling Revolver show when they had, it was the night at the Moxbury when they had John Moxley on there. So I watched that. I finally finished the Jersey J Cup, which is a 2-part tournament. I finally watched that. So I've definitely gotten my $5 a month out of it for sure. And I'll keep it because I've gotten into more GCW, but Wrestling Revolver has had some cool, they've got some cool stuff coming up. They're having to redo some things, obviously, because Josh Alexander got hurt. He was supposed to be on their show next week, and clearly he's out. And then I think there's some, I think Black Label Pro is on there. Nice. I'm not sure if Prestige is on there, but I heard that last week Speedball was supposed to wrestle Josh Alexander, but he couldn't. They got Chris Sabin instead, and I heard that match was really, really good. I heard people talking about it. I saw some comments about it yesterday or today, so I was like, I gotta go find that because I was like, I've got to watch. Well, I love Speedball, but I mean, love Chris Sabin, so I was like, no, I have to see it. So but there's so much good wrestling on there. But even if your trial, I mean, that's some good stuff to watch for free.
Yeah, and you have until, I took the trial on Fight Plus. I have till Thursday.
Nice.
To finish anything. I mean, it's a 7-day trial. I started Thursday night. I mean,
that's smart.
I can, jump back into some of the stuff I wanted to finish up and
a
little bit of overload. Had to take a little break. Sometimes my too much, there's a lot of flashing and stuff at the wrestling shows. So obviously I'm good, but I'm not great. Sometimes if it gets to a certain point, there is a point at which my sensory situation goes, it's time to stop with the pyro and flashing lights for a day.
Then you got WrestleMania tonight in Cody Rhodes, so
right, exactly. Well, and I knew
you gotta save some of your sensory stuff for Cody.
Thankfully, a lot of these shows are indie style shows, so there's not an over a ton of Mania is all that. ROH they did a nice job though. I thought their presentation was real good. It wasn't,
I enjoyed it.
But I think I've experienced enough WrestleManias at this point, whether at the show or on the TV, that I know that it's going to be packed full of that extra. Well, people, we need the packages for the casual fans. Guys, what is the percentage of people out of 100% of wrestling fans, what is the percentage of casual watchers? And then of that percentage, how many of them are going to buy or subscribe or do whatever to Peacock? Like,
yeah. The only thing that I was glad about with the package last night is it gave me enough time to get home from the wrestling show. And I still had, once the wrestling show ended, I had time to talk to 4 or 5 different people. Title Belt also, how they even started, if you missed our interview with them, they have a frozen dessert company. It's not ice cream because it's vegan, but it's stuff they make flavors that Nikki can have, and they were wrestling themed, and they basically started it so they'd have extra money for wrestling shows. And so then it kind of evolved into this other thing because now they're doing, like, they do non-wrestling themed things for like the normal people
normies.
who the normies, and now they're expanding into like event stuff, like where you can order a cart and like have it for your wedding. They just launched it like a week ago, like 2 weeks ago.
Great
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, and so they're doing
What
it like
they should sell special editions at their events that are just for the event.
Well, they do like bridal, like they did a bridal convention 2 weeks ago to like present it, and so they can customize for the wedding. So like they can put or whatever, like they can do more events, so like whatever your event is, and they can customize the label to have like the whatever on it for the event.
That's
and so
perfect.
like
Now, they will make it. People,
it's really
love
smart.
that. People love the merch.
They do love the merch.
And they love to. I mean, that's an original and a vegan company though. That's an original idea for your guests at the thing, or the you put a little cooler on the way out, and everybody gets to take a pint of vegan ice cream home.
Yeah,
like iced treats.
So like I even had they had a pint last night of a flavor that Nikki could have, so we got that. Like I had time to do all of that, get home, change clothes, and like and I got turned on the TV and Lil Uzi Vert was coming out to do so I was like, that's the only good thing about having to sit through all of that. But I did, well, we'll get to it with the Mania stuff, but yeah, so I was like, I was like, now tonight it's gonna probably annoy me, but it was like last night it worked out because it gave me time. I was like, when I left last night for the show, I think, but his main card started at 8 last night, I think.
Yeah, so I mean, officially it started at 8. I don't think there was any actual wrestling on the show until it probably took about an hour and a half before there was actually like it felt like an hour and a half before there was like an actual wrestling match. Even though there were matches.
I left for the wrestling show last night, they were doing the pre-show.
And I did not tune into all that. I know that. It's late, but
no, a friend of mine was like, I got through the entire pre-show in 3 minutes.
I was watching a different movie. I was taking some time. I was like, I don't need to watch the fake before the Super Bowl show. Was all that. I mean, I'm not the red carpet celebrity. I know that is big with people, and I'm glad, and I know that people enjoyed it, and I'm so happy that they did. It's enjoy your WrestleMania weekend. Like everybody was having a great time.
Watch what you want to watch. That's what we did. I mean, obviously,
that's what we did. So the shows that we did watch then were, well, I watched Bloodsport.
I did.
The ROH show.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that show. And then I watched. So before that, I did watch the Santino Brothers showcase, which I've heard for a couple of years about how good that school is, and so I was really glad to see them get a showcase. I thought that was really cool that GCW like gave them that space to showcase what they do. And like, if you want to wrestle and you're in that area, then that's probably where you should go. And then you look at who they've got out there. Like, so Heather Monroe, I've seen, like, she's done a lot of different indie places, but like I've seen her on Dark and Elevation. Then obviously there's Bad Dude Tito, who now is killing it. Like, people are finally seeing what Mel and I have been talking about for months, because Mike Gilbert is on the big teats train.
He is trying to steal our big teats.
He is trying to sell big teats away to Impact. And I'm like,
he's like, put the belt on him. I'm like, while that is an excellent idea, you don't get the big teats.
You cannot have him.
He's ours. He belongs to New Japan.
We found him first.
We saw him first.
We told you people to watch Strong, because it's very good wrestling and there's great stuff, and that's where we found big teats. I was like,
and also, even better, part of TMDK, Hello, the
Yes.
best faction in wrestling
We
right
love
now.
the TMDK here at the Powerbombshells. We are
Zack
very big
Sabre.
fans of them.
Guys, it's Zack Sabre Jr.'s faction.
Yeah. And it
Come
used to
on.
be Jonah's faction
Who?
before
Don't
that.
remember. Don't remember that guy.
Oh, Jonah.
Oh, no, that's okay because he moved over and
Yeah,
Tito
get your
slid
payday,
right
get
into
what
that. He was
you
like, "You don't want it?
in
I'll take it."
in the words of our good friend Jeff Hawkins, get paid. So
And,
good for you. TMDK is on a meteoric rise right now.
uh-huh.
They're all like, yeah, I saw Tito tweet yesterday or the day before, and he said in the past month he's appeared in AEW, New Japan, and Impact in
Great.
the last month.
I'm glad. I'm glad people are seeing it
Me too.
because
That dude.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
bad dude.
because
But
oh
yeah,
my god, I don't want to see more big bad dude Tito matches.
right. And I saw him wrestle 3 times on Thursday. And he killed it all 3 times, and I was like, yeah, so I saw the Santino brothers stuff, and then I had to do the Tony media call, so it was, like, on in the background, and I saw most of Tito's match, and I kept getting I was like, "I have got to, like, tweet this, but I'm trying to watch this match." I was like, "I have to go back and watch the last 3 because they were on, and I would look up when I could, but I couldn't really follow because I saw something happen after the women's match, and then something happened at the main event. There's like, I guess, a big story setting up the next thing. And also, if you watch Strong, then you are familiar with Latino Meat, Che Cabrera, who wrestles on Strong sometimes. He and Bad Dude Tito are a tag team on the indie scene. They are the Wolf Zaddies, and they've been killing it in Southern California from what I've seen. And so he's a product of there. Kid Bandit has trained there. I know Willie Mack, I believe, did some stuff there. There's a whole and Ray Rosa. So if you've seen BTE, you are probably when they did some of the Peter Avalon segments, you've probably seen some stuff with Ray Rosas. But apparently, because he was on there, he was a mystery guest, and I think they said he was a Santino Brothers original. So that was really cool. So I thought it was a really fun showcase. And I always like seeing people's name, like either new people I've never seen before or people who like I hear their name and I've seen maybe clips here and there, but I haven't gone out of my way to find matches. And so it's really cool to see that. So I really enjoyed that show and I want to go. And I like that they added storyline stuff in, like, so you can see like what they're doing. And I'm sure that's great for people who are in that area. They're like, oh, look, here's a new promotion I can go see. And now
Definitely.
I see these storylines playing out on this, and now I can, go catch up or like see what happens next. So I thought that was really cool to see. And I really enjoyed what I saw of it.
That makes me want to go back and watch it.
Yeah, I would.
I have time.
I was say if you have time and you're before Thursday.
Well, I mean, I won't have time today, obviously.
Oh, sure.
But definitely before.
Yeah,
Thursday.
before Thursday, if you get a chance, I would check them out. But yes, and then definitely check out Bloodsport. We got to see.
Guys, that was like. So this is my second Bloodsport I bought last year.
Mine
too.
Mm-hmm. It's easy.
I will always, I think, get it.
I think so too.
Unless it decides to take a complete left turn into something else, then it is awesome. It was, as a friend put it to me, Inoki's ghost is applauding.
I'm sure Josh Barnett would actually appreciate that.
Oh no, Josh Barnett! I love that Josh Barnett still wants like the UWF to exist. Like he just wants it. I love that. I love that. And
even if it's like once, twice a year.
But he does pour what I kind of like that it's a once a year thing. And there even was a storyline in that main event with the result of it because he'd never lost before.
Right. And he lost to a student, which made it even. Yeah. And I was like, if he's going to lose to anybody.
It makes you think, because when you think about it, sooner or later, I mean, you can go till the wheels fall off, but they are going to fall off sooner or later. And if you want your event to continue, you're going to have to have somebody to rep it. So... to me,
what better person to rep it than Timothy Thatcher?
He's fucking great. That was like when I saw that, and then they did a great job on commentary of kind of building that where Josh Barnett's undefeated at the thing and the whole thing, and I was like, oh man, wait a minute, and I was like, wow, this is like him saying like Tim Thatcher is going to be like the big next part of like maybe even partially the face of this next round of.
Yeah, you have to. I think you got to follow up with that. Like, I don't know if they do a rematch next year, which I think they could do, which would be
definitely.
Can you imagine if Timothy Thatcher beats him twice in a row? Like, that would be That would be huge. Like, they could definitely do a rematch next year if they
Oh
wanted
God,
to.
yeah.
That would
I
be really
mean,
good.
and that was just, I mean, I started with the main, and but everything, I mean, Kota Ibushi back in the ring for the first time.
That was
I
Kota
guess
versus
we
Speedball.
decided it's the first time he looks like he's aged at all, but not that much.
Because he's Kota. That match was so good. I loved it because, and Speedball is still like last year, besides John Moxley, Speedball was my wrestler of the year. And I mean, so far this year, he's right up there because he's just everything that I've seen him in. He's even on Impact. Like he kills it every time I see him. And I think the tweet that I saw from Veda is that she called 8 shows this weekend and he wrestled 10 shows. Yes.
He gave
and
he
I
dropped
think
a
last
list
year
on
he
his,
did like 9.
yeah.
He did
I
a
think
lot.
it's close.
And
he dropped
he
a
did
list on his Twitter this morning, I think.
Yeah, and I think he did because so Tito did 3 matches on Thursday. I believe Speedball also did 3 matches. I saw 2 of the 3 because I saw the Bloodsport and I saw the multiverse match, but I didn't see the WrestleCon show yet. So I think he had those 3 matches, and then somebody else Jeff Cobb wrestled 3 shows on Thursday too. I think he did Bloodsport
after wrestling 3 days in a row.
Yeah, yeah, because he did Dynamite.
I made the point on our show on Friday night. I realized as I was watching that I have watched Jeff Cobb now wrestle 3 days in a row because
that is nothing to complain about.
No,
we are very happy about the more Jeff Cobb, the better.
Again, people getting eyes on these people gets them booked the rest of the year into these great matches, and I mean, Speedball deserves it. Like he
does.
He's earned it. That guy puts it work.
And he couldn't wrestle in the US for 5 years, so it's like he's making up for all that lost time. He's just, and you know, he just loves it. He brings it, and it's so. I mean, he wrestled those 3 matches, and he like didn't half-ass it at all. Like he gave 110% every single time he got in the ring. So you got your money's worth with Speedball because, and then I'll get to another match I saw him in this weekend, but yeah, that guy killed it. And then I wanted to say, so Brad he and I were tweeting about Bloodsport, and we were talking about Tito versus Uemura, who, if you have not watched this show or may have missed it, Mike Gilbert gave us the name Yummy Mora. So he said it's Tito versus Yummy. He's like too bad Powerbombshells couldn't sponsor it. And I was like, if ever Powerbombshells was gonna sponsor a match, it would probably be that one. True. Like that match is right up our alley.
That match was 2 people we have marked out about over and over and over and over again. We have chastised people for not knowing who they are. We have told people many times to go see who they are. Right, it was like perfect. It was like, I don't even care who wins this match.
No, I didn't either. Yes.
I'm just the luckiest person in the world because I get to watch it.
Yes, he did. Don says, bad dude Tito with a package adjustment celebration. Yes. That a very bad dude thing to do.
Love that guy.
I was gonna say that guy.
I still honestly cannot get to. I cannot see him without hearing Chris Troughton
yelling
shout.
Yeah. And it's funny. I want to say, so the other day when that match was announced, because originally it was supposed to be Bad Dude Tito versus Jeff Cobb, which was a match that happened on Strong in December, and then things happened and the card was shuffled around, and so in the picture that they put up, Bad Dude Tito's hair looked like it had been flat ironed, maybe, and then Uemura's hair looked great. Like their hair both looked great. So I was trying to find something, and so I found a GIF, and it's Taylor Swift from "Shake It Off," and it says, "To the fellow over there with hella good hair." Tito responds to me, and he said, "It's me. I'm the one with the hella good hair." And I was like, "You do have great hair. However, when you do your hair forward and do your head back, does it fall perfectly back into place like Yuya's does?" And he told me he heard that Yuya wears a weave. And so during that match, I was like, don't think that's a weave he has, but he does have his hair pulled up, but it's probably so Tito can't rip it out. So he can't rip his weave off.
I don't blame it.
That's why I had in a ponytail.
Safe. He's safe. He knows. He's
Yeah,
like, I know
exactly. He
this
doesn't
guy.
want to get exposed.
He's like, I know this guy, and I know what he's saying about me on Twitter.
Right.
Because we follow that.
So from now on, every time you watch a Yuya Uemura match, you're going to look at his hair and see if
You
it's
have to
real.
wonder. You have to wonder, is it real?
Yes.
But
But
the match
So,
was real. And
it was. It says Yuya is another example of the rule that for some reason mullets work really well for Japanese men. That is, yeah, that is a true statement. Very true.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure. No, his hair is long. I was gonna say Fumi was wearing a mullet for a while there, though. I think
Was he?
there was a.
Fantastic.
I feel like that it may have been old pictures.
We were
But
talking
you're
about
not because Shingo has one.
Shingo. Yeah, Shingo definitely pulls that off.
That's
really well.
look
'cause Shingo's
is
just
like
a badass anyway. But who was it? There's somebody else. Was it Yoshihashi that had the? It was like because we were watching something the other day, and Nikki was talking about how his hair looked longer on one side than the other, and we were like, "What's going on there?"
I'm not sure. I think that
Fumi had a full on Def Leppard mullet in the 90s.
Okay, that's what it was. Thank you.
Amazing. That's
I know,
amazing.
He's
We
got
love,
some
yeah,
good-
they can definitely pull those hairstyles off
It just
easily.
works.
It does work.
It does not work here.
No. I mean, some people.
Sure, but
It
I mean,
does.
when it's part of their gimmick, and mostly they were just like that guy. So, whereas Shingo is not just that guy.
No, Shingo is amazing. We love Shingo on this show. So, is there anything else you want to talk about with Santino? With Bloodsport before we move on?
Real quick, let me just run through. No, I think we got everything.
Okay.
Just
the show's amazing, and go out of your way to watch it.
Get
your free trial.
Bloodsport, Royce or Hoist Isaac's match was also excellent. The whole show was great. If you,
I was really happy to see Royce Isaacs on there. We've talked about it through Strong. Like,
it was nice to see a lot of guys from Strong everywhere.
Yeah, we love the Team Filthy here on this show.
That's it.
And we talked about it a lot last year when Royce got to go with Filthy Tom to Japan. And we told everybody those two are going to kill it and the Japanese fans are going to love them. And we were correct.
You were correct.
We were correct. But yeah, Royce looked great. I was so happy.
But that whole show, that was one of my favorite shows of the weekend.
Yes. It says Fumi did commentary for All Japan Women back in the day. You can see lots of documentation of Fumi's mullet by checking out the classics.
Nice.
Yes. Amazing.
That's good to know.
That's amazing.
Yeah. No, it's really great. And I mean, I know that Justin has a lot of, if you guys are familiar with Write That Down podcast here on the Fight Game Media Network, he works with Fumi all the time and talks about it. And then, of course, our good friend Jim Valley and Fumi have the Pacific Rim podcast.
Yes.
Which
and
is how I got to know Fumi. So, I mean.
And if you watched a few episodes ago, we had the great Jim Valley on our show, and he told the story of how he met Fumi for the first time. And it's a really great story. And I highly recommend you going back and checking that out because it was amazing. It was an awesome story. Like, we could have Jim come back and just tell us stories because he has some great ones.
He might just have to do that. And
yeah, we're going to have it instead of.
We are going to definitely try, and we're working hard to try and get Jim back here and maybe even bringing a friend for some future New Japan shows that are taking place in North America that they might have insight on.
They could. Wonder what those
could be. I don't know. No idea.
Yes.
So anyway, that was it. That was let's
move
on.
Did you get to Multiverse yet?
I did not because it was pay. And I was sleepy.
No, I feel you. No, I feel you. So I had to watch.
But you can go ahead and
I got to watch Multiverse, but also I had to. So Tony messed up my schedule because he moved ROH from 7 to 9 slot to 9 to 11, which was also when Multiverse was on.
And I did count your 2 hours of.
I appreciate that because I watched it because I was covering it.
Actual ROH, the episode, the regular weekly TV show did still take place this week.
It did.
Like SmackDown and Rampage and all that other stuff on Friday.
I have to get to Rampage. Rampage is on the DVR. I have to get to Impact because Impact was like a countdown thing, but then also there were a couple regular matches. I know Giselle Shaw wrestled Killer Kelly, and I think they aired Josh Alexander versus Kenta, which was filmed obviously prior to his injury. I think they aired that as well. So
that's right. I didn't remember hearing about that.
So I got to go back, and those things are both on the DVR. So I did not get to those, but I did watch ROH because I was covering it. It was a really fun show. And then we talked about on Friday night about how Honor Club does not have a pause button, which that should have been my question for Tony on Friday is why the hell doesn't Honor Club have a pause button? Because Miley wanted to go outside, and so I had to rewatch the show to see Shibata come out, and then and to watch Vikingo versus Blake Christian. And then I was watching that with the Multiverse on, and Multiverse is really great. I enjoyed every single match. Like if you can watch it, I recommend.
Yeah, I want to get to it. It's just right.
It's very good. And there's a whole bunch of, like there was, who was Speedball versus Tana. So Speedball's just having like all these dream matches this week. That was really good. They had there was a 4-way women's match, which was cool because the winner is getting a title shot at Rebellion because of the stuff with Mickie James. Mickie James is injured. She doesn't know if she'll be cleared by Rebellion. So if she is cleared, it will be a triple threat. So Jordynne Grace was supposed to wrestle Mickie at Sacrifice. Match didn't happen, obviously, because Mickie has an injured rib. And so Mickie will face off against, I guess I'll just spoil it.
Hang on. Wait.
We'll put up the spoiler.
Wait, hang on. All right, here we go.
If you haven't watched Multiverse and you want to watch,
if you
didn't read my article yesterday, because I did write about this title.
So if you did not read or watch Multiverse of Matches Impact thingy, wait, here it is. Here you go, right there.
There's your spoiler alert graphic.
Spoiler alert. That's your graphic. You audio listeners, sorry.
You've got about 5 seconds to mute it real quick.
Yeah, here we go. And go.
So the winner of the 4-way is Deonna Purrazzo. So the match is for sure Jordynne versus Deonna at Sacrifice. If Mickie James is cleared, Mickie will also be added to the match, and it will be a triple threat. If Mickie is not clear, she will vacate the title and give it to whoever wins that match at Rebellion. So that will be a phenomenal match regardless. And they're both former. Jordynne Grace obviously is the one who lost the title to because it was a title versus career at Hard to Kill. And then Deonna obviously was a longtime Knockouts champion. And it's nice to see her back in the title picture. And so that should be a really good match. And so they had but the 4-way was really good. My favorite match was the match I was looking forward to the most, which was the tag team match of Motor City Machine Guns versus ABC, which is Chris Bay and Ace Austin, who are the current Impact champions, versus TMDK, which is Shane Haste and Bad Dude Tito and Aussie Open. So this match was amazing. But then I
forgot that this match was on this
card. That was the match that there's so many good matches that were happening this weekend, but that was one that was I had to see that match. And then because I had to rewatch Ring of Honor, Vikingo versus Blake Christian was happening on my laptop at the exact same time that tag team match was happening. And I almost paused the tag team match, but then we didn't want to get too behind, trying. So I was watching both, and I was like, Jesus, insane. So I was watching all kinds of stuff. But I would go out of your way to watch that match if you can, because it was really good. But everything was good on that card. I mean, there was Kenta versus Suzuki was on that card. Jeff Cobb versus Moose. There was a lot of really good stuff on there, and there was some weird kind of 8-man tags that didn't kind of make sense, but I mean it was cool to see everybody and everybody got a payday, so good for them. But it was a good show.
There's a few that were pay, TJPW and DDT are gonna end up on, or I think one of the DDT shows might be available, but there's another one that they're gonna be their pay right now, but I have Wrestle Universe, so they'll eventually be on there.
Yeah,
so
I know TJP's got a couple that are on the Wrestle High Spots. There's a all women. There's a straight TJPW show, and then I think there was a TJPW match on the big WrestleCon show. I definitely want to
So
try.
I
to
can't do
get to.
the DDT one on Fight Plus.
DDT is on Fight Plus. Those are both
I will get that
DDT
one.
shows are on my like of the shows that I didn't get to. Like I want so the shows I didn't get to.
Oh, that's right, because there's DDT versus GCW too.
Yeah, so that is I have heard really great
So
things.
we haven't gotten neither of us have gotten to those.
Yeah, so DDT x GCW, I definitely want to watch. We were doing our live stream. Oh no, we weren't doing the live stream. That was during spring break that we were doing that. So, but yeah, so that is on my. That was before Ring of Honor, and I was going to try to watch like an hour of it before Supercard, and that didn't work out. That didn't happen. So that is definitely on there. I do want to watch just the pure DDT show as well as like DDT Goes Hollywood. I want to watch that. I have not gotten to For the Culture yet, which I really, really want to get to.
I was like, she didn't mention it to me. I know that's one of her top shows.
Yeah, because it came on at 3 a.m. on Thursday.
Right.
And I was going to try
Pacific. This will be nice. It'll be nice when they're back on our time zone next year.
Yeah. So I didn't get to it on Friday like I had hoped. I had hoped to get to it Friday afternoon, but that's definitely on my list because the For the Culture shows are always really, really good. There's some somebody I really want to see there's a guy, he's a British wrestler, I think it's Man called Darius. But when he got announced, like all the comments were so hyped to see him. They're like, oh my God, I'm so happy he's on this card. I had never heard of him until that announcement. And I was like, okay, well now I have to see what all the hype is about. Nice. I really want to see. And like, that's how I saw Brian Keith for the first time because he wrestled Darius Lockhart.
Oh,
a couple For the Cultures ago. And that's how I saw him for the first time. And Brian Keith is phenomenal. And apparently he was only booked like on 2 shows this week, which is insane to me because he's so good. And so he's definitely a name to keep an eye on for sure. But he's really big in the Texas scene. But yeah, he's really great every time I see him. So I'm looking forward because he's on that card as well. And like Suge was on that card. There's so much good talent there. So I definitely want to see For the Culture. And then I do want to see World on Lucha as well.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely want to see that. Says I haven't seen DDT versus GCW, but I know my man Kusada Higuchi is wrestling Blake Christian. I want Higuchi to be everybody's favorite wrestler too. Okay, well now I need to see who that is.
There he is.
Because
he's wrestling Blake Christian, which you already know.
I love Blake Christian, and I love babyface Blake Christian, and I love heel Blake Christian.
Yeah. Yep.
Vikingo versus Commander versus Black Taurus from WrestleCon show is my match of the year so far. It was fantastic. I wanted, when I saw that match announced, I was like, oh, I definitely want to see that one. That was the match that really stood out to me on that show. So I'm glad to hear that because I definitely,
Colin.
Yeah. So I really want to see that. But yes, thank you for confirming that it is definitely
and we still need to continue we still need to continue to soak up that Fight Plus week-long trial. I'm glad I'm actually psyched that I have a few days because
that one's a WrestleCon show, so that one's a high spot
that's
show.
Right. That's right.
But definitely we'll check that.
I'll find a way to watch.
We'll get to it somehow. But yeah, and so then if you want to know our Supercard of Honor thoughts, you can go back and watch our episode from Friday because this is I find it easy to believe that that's a good match. Yes.
Yes.
For sure.
Agree.
Agree. Yes, go back and watch. This is our I meant to say this at the top of the show. This is our 3rd show in 7 days.
That's right.
We did a show last Sunday.
We are doing multiple shows.
We are, yes. Exactly.
And you know what? We forgot real quick. Let me take a quick break here because we mentioned it on the Friday show because I wanted Paul to hear it also.
Oh, yes.
We did have Paul on our show also with us, guys. So,
yes,
if you want to know
ROH historian Paul Fontaine.
Historian Paul Fontaine joined us for that. And I had a great time. It was really fun talking about that show. Because that was probably, I think we all decided, just a little spoiler, is that probably one of Tony's best, like the best ROH show Tony's put up so far.
Yeah, I would agree.
But Sam sent me a birthday present that I got here, and it's very glary here, but it is from a place that Ivan made a banner for them. Here we go.
Awesome.
So here we go. Is Etsy. Here is Coda's Magical Crafts. They are also at Coda's Crafts on the Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And they make fan-inspired things. This is a candle. I do like the smell, Sam.
Good.
Just so you know, I love this. I think it smells great.
I'm glad.
Very excited. And this is a Hangman Page inspired scent. It's called Anxious Millennial Cowboy, which I just love. And I had to share that with Paul because him and Jack
it has a couple
make that comment anyway.
Yes.
So
and it is it's got other scents in it, but it's like leather scented. So it smells like
it's actually pretty cool. It's got
Yeah.
like a musky. It's a cross between like a musky, but it does have like a sweet undertones
Yeah,
to it. I like it.
really so Nikki and I really liked it, and then like we
Good
lit
stuff.
it for our dad, and our dad was like, I don't
Not
like
my
it. And
thing.
so then I was worried. I was like, what if Mel doesn't like it? And I was like, I don't want to get her this giant 16-ounce candle. So I had to wait so Mel's birthday present got there a little late.
I have a good friend who's a bath fan, and I really want to send him a
There
fan.
is Anxious Millennial
I definitely
Cowboy
want
soap.
something like, I mean, do they make Yano candles?
I will suggest that they make Yano candles because I know several people who would enjoy that. But yes, there's Anxious Millennial Cowboy soap. There's also an Alex Shelley themed candle and soap that I recommend. I'm not a huge coffee person, but it is kind of a coffee. I mean, it's not overwhelmingly. There's other stuff in it, but I really liked it. And so I will be getting more of that as well. Does it smell like Snug jeans?
No.
It doesn't. They should have put. I'm gonna tell.
But if it did, it would smell like the best worn.
You know what they should do?
Ever.
I should recommend they do a Jeff Cobb themed candle that just says Jeff Cobb smells good. So those few people on the internet will get that joke, and that should be the name of the candle.
You know.
Yeah, if you know, you know. If you know that story, you know that story.
That was fun. That was a funny.
Now I'm gonna DM them after this and be like, "Hey, can you do a Yano themed candle and also a Jeff Cobb smells good?"
And just let me know because I have people.
And then I'm gonna say that I have people to sell it. That I'm gonna buy it.
Be like, I have people that want this stuff.
Instead, if there's a Bathhausen candle, that's the one for Robo Duke, the Batman.
Yes, that's a friend of mine who Robo Duke. There, he's a good friend of mine, and he would definitely.
Okay. Well, then I'm gonna make a list to send them and be like, can you make these candles? Please?
That would be really fun. Only because, like, if Detroit, the Detroit crowd, this metro area, got like I definitely need to like start passing this around to the Detroit people because they will enjoy that. And I think because like you said, they already have some Alex Shelley and obviously a Candlehausen would. He's from here, so
yeah, they need a candle house.
They would probably carry their stuff at things. I mean, because one thing I will say about the community here, it's like whether it's the wrestling community or other sort of community outreach groups here are incredibly good at doing that sort of crossover stuff. Where they'd love Title Battle Pro with Slide. We could all be neighbors.
There we go.
If our areas were smushed together, we'd be neighborly.
Yeah, that's right.
But,
definitely.
And that was one nice thing too is Sam, the candle that she sent me, it is from someone that was local to her as well, and it is an independent vendor, so it is a small business. It is trans run, you told me. So trans just all these great things about it. And like I told Sam when it came, because it said North Carolina, I said, well, it's either from Kenny Omega or from Sam. And since I don't know Kenny Omega, it's probably from Sam. But I will always
read that it was not Kenny Omega.
But I will always read North Carolina in Justin Roberts' voice, no matter what. So even when you send me cards, I'm always like, that's how I hear it. So just know that your cards bring me an extra piece of joy.
Well, I'm glad to hear that
because they're from North Carolina.
I am very glad to hear
and I definitely wanted to share that with you guys because I know everyone couldn't be there at 1 a.m. or
and I'll post we'll make sure we'll post their on Etsy
definitely
on Twitter.
I definitely want to do that.
We'll make sure that you guys can find it because so it's great and always good to support the local people. And like I said on Friday, I love candles, so candles and wrestling are like you have a customer and me forever because that is right up my alley.
That's great. I love that they do that. I just think that's so that's what I love about that we live like in a time where Etsy can be a thing and they finally got their heads out of their arses about some
now.
of the stuff.
For now, they have.
It's
So
always a battle.
it is. But yeah, so I guess so that was candle time with Powerbombshells.
That was our house. Yep. Just like we had on the first show. We
yes.
we have to have our home and
that's our home and garden
our
section.
home and we'll call it home and wellness section.
Yeah, our home and wellness segment of Powerbombshells. And so we will now thank you for that was our ad break.
We'll get back to our wrestling. Let's get back to the men in spandex men and women in spandex fighting each other.
Yes. So Friday, what did we watch? Oh yeah, so Supercard was Friday, which was that we got the show. I did not get to spring break until yesterday, but before I get to spring break, I did watch Effie's Big Gay Brunch live, and that was fantastic. That was actually, I didn't realize that was the first time they've ever sold out Effie's Big Gay Brunch. That's such a wildly popular show that I didn't realize that yesterday was the first sellout and it was their 6th show. It was great. There was so many good wrestlers on there. I missed the first few minutes because I was coming back from running an errand, so I missed like the first but I didn't miss any matches. So apparently I missed some stuff with because Pollo Del Mar was hosting, and so I missed something that happened with them and AC Mac. But yes, and AC Mac was in the first match. So the first match was really cool, and I don't know why I did not write down the list of matches because I'm slacking apparently. But anyway,
or it could well be that were a lot of matches this weekend.
There were a lot of matches this weekend, and I was just trying to enjoy the show, which I did. It was really, really good. I did. They were trying to get it to trend number 1. It did not get to number 1, but I think the highest it trended was like number 4. It did trend ahead of WrestleMania for a while, so that was cool. And I just, as much as, especially to give that show to give them props and to give them attention, because Effie does a lot of really cool stuff, and representation matters, especially in a time in this country where things are trying to get passed and things are being brought up to try to harm the trans community. It's really important to have shows like this, so that people can get exposure, to show that they are people too. They are just trying to live their lives. And so and it was really cool at the end of the show. Effie was talking about like all the love and energy that they had from that show yesterday to take that out into the world and shine that out and to help fight against the transphobia that's happening. And
happened this very weekend at the
I was about to say
event.
I would be remiss to, we should bring this up. There was an incident on Friday with Giselle Shaw, that if you missed it on Twitter, I won't go into a lot of detail, but they documented an experience they had at WrestleCon from Rick Steiner, who is a WWE Hall of Famer, and said some really nasty things to her behind her back and then said it to her face. And there were apparently some veteran wrestlers who were sitting right there and didn't do anything. They just let it happen. And I saw a tweet yesterday from Gia Miller, who, if you're familiar with Impact, she does the backstage segments. She said that she walked arm in arm with Giselle over to confront him. And she's witnessed, because some people are trying to say that Giselle is making it up, that Rick Steiner would not have done that. Well, if you know anything about Rick Steiner, he probably would have.
That's not what Chris Jericho said. Because, look at his tweet in support of Giselle Shaw. To his credit, you can hate his politics all you want to, but he did actually, to his credit, stand up for her and mention the fact that they get away with that shit because their last name is Steiner, and that they've always been bullies.
That they've,
and
and it's a sad thing that it happened. First of all, then it happened on Trans Day of Visibility. On top of that, then it also happened the night before one of Braun Breaker's biggest matches he's ever had, and I'm sure that overshadowed it. But I'm glad that Giselle found the courage to confront him, then to publicly talk about what happened, because she knows that people are going to be like that and say that didn't happen. I don't know who that is, so that could have possibly have happened.
Or moreover, I mean, let's be real, because WWE people going to WWE, and they tend to be very turn and look away from their superstars' ill behavior and the boss. And I mean, bad behavior starts at the top. And
right, it does. Yep. And then
it's well documented. The guy just had to pay $17.5 million back to his company for his shenanigans.
Yes.
So.
Yes. So Daza said it ties in with the Steiner's behavior in the past, and why would she just make this up?
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Well, and one of the things, especially in a circumstance like this, is like going public with this stuff is not fun for people because of the reaction.
And that's exactly what Giselle said, that she's been bullied all her life because of who she is, and it happens in her own wrestling community. I mean, she was working, she was signing autographs, and her fans had to hear that bullshit too. That's just it's awful. And so Colin said, you wonder what Breaker's views are with him being his son and all. And yeah, and that's what, because some people were saying that, and
but the problem is that either way it misconflates. Unfortunately, Braun Breaker's going out there to do this. He's going to have a debut, and then people start to wonder about Braun Breaker's politics too, instead of worrying about Braun Breaker's wrestling match.
Right. And so it's just and so I was really, really pleased to see so many people, fans, other talent, other people in the wrestling community rallied around her, and just, they showed their support for her. And I thought that was really important for her to see, and I'm glad that they did. And it's important for other fans who are, who are trans, or who are in the community, to be able to see that, there are people who in wrestling that will stand up for them, and who will. And so for every Rick Steiner, there are, 20 other people, or even more than that. I mean, there were so many people that just came out and were just like, and it was, I think one of the funniest things I saw was, because I was working on an article about it yesterday, about people supporting her. And one of them was Moose, and Moose was like, I'm glad that my travel situation was a nightmare and I was already gone. He was like, or I would have been arrested for elderly abuse. I've been there. So.
He is an older dude, and I mean, that does not excuse it. Obviously, the idea here
he has said some problematic things about women in the past
many times. This guy he's a repeat offender. This is not news. What is news is that you took a great weekend full of awesome, where a ton of people, including like even Gigi's down there, and he's networking for us, and he's meeting people that are in this business that and we're all figuring out what we want to do and how we want to shape wrestling for the future. And then this shitheel comes in and just acts like a total shitheel. And I mean, we don't want to give him too much thing, but the support for Giselle Shaw, and the fact that they were able to come out and say, this happened to me. And I mean, and regardless of the trolls, I think that in general, I found that, I mean, again, even just the Chris Jericho thing, where it's like, he was like, that guy's been a bully and a dick face forever. I mean, that was my paraphrase. I'm not quoting him. Chris Jericho did not call Rick Steiner a dick face. I did.
But
and that's an important point.
Right. To be fair, plenty of people have different views from their parents. Yeah. And they learn, like, they can unlearn things that they were taught growing up, especially when they get more exposure to communities and things like that.
Hey, Dad, can you not on the weekend that I'm premiering?
Right. Yeah.
Because like, now the story's about you when it should be about me, and that's pretty narcissistic. And I mean, that reaffirms his shittiness, because he can't even keep his mouth shut when his kid's got a big deal going. I mean, like, you're not really there for WrestleMania or for all these things. I know you're WWE. You're theoretically here for your kid.
Right.
So please act like an adult.
Yeah, well, and that's hard for some people. But I will say, so WrestleCon did put out a statement. They publicly apologized to Giselle. They did handle the situation where Rick Steiner was removed. He was not. Yesterday, they had a signing yesterday as well. And a fan responded and said, I'm standing in front of the Steiner booth right now, and Scott is here, but Rick is not. So it sounds like he was moved completely. He was not allowed, because this happened on Friday, and so yesterday they had a signing as well. And unless anything has changed that I have missed since then, Rick was not there yesterday. I'm gonna
have to take the Jim Valley stance on this one, and to echo what he said yesterday on Wrestling Observer Live. Mind your own business and leave people alone.
Yeah, exactly.
This is not your business. You are you are allowed to have your feelings and your beliefs and all of those things, but not in this, like in this setting. You keep them to yourself.
Right. Yeah, it was just completely it was awful, and
Immature and idiotic.
and I hope that, I hope Giselle is doing well. I hope that, I hope being able to hear from her peers and fans have helped ease the situation, because I'm sure I can only imagine what that was like for her. And like she said, she's been dealing with it for years. And then to have the courage to call out a WWE Hall of Famer to his face, and then to put it out on the internet to explain what happened, that's very brave of her to have to do that. And I'm sure she's still going to get some shit from people at shows and things like that, but hopefully, most people will make her feel welcome, and not
those people are a death rattle, though. I mean, unfortunately, sadly they are louder than the rest of us who don't.
Well, and then when you have a big name like that, they're gonna bring out, and the fans they've been around for decades,
that's
and
to
so
me,
they've had fans for decades.
The death rattle of a baby boomer who is not relevant anymore and is trying to be in the worst possible way. So big F you to that guy.
Yes. So we are big Giselle Shaw supporters over here. And so, so we'll go back to the wrestling. But so definitely go check out Effie's Big Gay Brunch. There was so much fun stuff on there. Like, bless you. I really enjoyed it. And Fred Rosser was on there. Nice. I think that was Fred Rosser's debut. And he looked great. There were a few other people making debuts. Steph DeLander, who was in NXT before as Persia Parada. She was Indy Hartwell's best friend for like 2 months. When she was Marianne Dexter, she was like her maid of honor or whatever. But so it's Steph DeLander has been killing it lately. She's been in Impact. There was like a big indie show, a set of indie shows in Australia, and it was like Matt Cardona, Joey Janela, Steph was there, a whole bunch of people. And so while Steph was there, she aligned herself with Matt Cardona. And then so at one of the GCW shows, Matt Cardona came and he got involved in a match, and then Steph came out with him. Then she came out. So Matt Cardona was he was complaining about, this was not actually, I'm getting my shows confused. This part happened on Joey Janela's spring break, but Steph DeLander was on Effie's Big Gay Brunch, and she wrestled there, and she won in her debut, and was talking about how last year she was on NXT's Stand and Deliver, and now she is on this terrible show. And then of course she wins. But it was great. I really enjoyed the show. The commentary was a lot of fun. It was I did have a new so they were talking about, I can't remember which wrestler was popping their pecs, and Val Capone said that he was bragging with his pecs, and I was like, that is what I'm going to call it from now on. And then last night we were at a show, and one of the wrestlers did it, and Nikki and I both started laughing, and we were like, he's bragging with his pecs. So you are now welcome if you would like to add that to your wrestling vocabulary. You now have a new phrase.
There's your glossary. We have a glossary of terms,
and also Effie's Big Gay Brunch was also dubbed WrestleGania by Val. And that's WrestleGania weekend, and wrestling is gay, and so it was a lot of fun. I would definitely.
Was it you that made the Bussy suggestion?
Which one about?
You were talking about how it was you or Mike. I don't know.
Maybe it was Mike.
But you were talking about getting a Bussy and a Bushi and one other thing, and making a Bussy basically out of it. And
that might have been Mike Gilbert. That
does sound, actually, now that I'm saying it again, it does sound very much like a Mike Gilbert.
It sounds highly entertaining, and I would probably approve, but I believe that was
it's definitely got to be. He's been pretty funny, both in the Discord and
he's fun. He's
a funny dude. Anyway, he is on break, but he is watching anyway. He's watched what he can watch, and we've been chatting in the Discord, and all of us, and he makes them. And then also, again, He's trying to steal our Tito from us to Impact.
We are.
And,
We will fight him.
We'll fight you.
We will fight him. That's not
So
happening.
BFI versus Powerbombshells.
Maybe that's the.
That's
maybe
next.
that's what gets
Is that
us. That's the
next
wrestling feud.
WrestleMania? Is that next WrestleCon? Is
Yeah,
Powerbombshells
yeah, I
versus
think so.
BFI?
And then maybe that will get us. Maybe we'll finally. That's how we'll get on the Observer's feud of the year.
There we go. There we go. Which
Except
I mean,
for-
which show would we do? We'd have to do like the Big Gay Bruncher.
we would have to do something. We'd have to do something.
Maybe on the Impact pay-per-view. Maybe on the undercard.
We'll have a
for the
multiverse.
Impact pay-per-view. Yeah.
There we go.
There we go. Powerbombshells versus BFI. Book it.
Fight Game United.
Let's go. Fight Game United. I love it. We're bringing our event to WrestleCon next year.
We'll be in Philadelphia next year.
And the collective. One of you will take us.
Somebody take us. But yeah, so definitely go watch that. And then so after that ended, I did go. I went ahead and watched Joey Janela's Spring Break because I was mad that I didn't get to it the night before. But also we had a show and that was more important because I was gonna have it on in the background, and then I was like, no, I think I'm gonna decide against that. And then Nikki started to watch it in the background, and then she saw the results of a match and was like, and so she was like, I'm gonna just cut it off because I can't tell her what happened. And so she was gonna tell me what happened, and then I saw it from Brad's Twitter, and then I saw it from Nick Wayne. So this will be another spoiler. You might want to throw the graphic up.
Guys, this is from Joey Janela's, right?
Yep, Joey Janela's Spring Break spoiler.
Right, hang on. Let me
get you the graphic.
Give me my graphic here. Where is it?
And then if you're on audio tomorrow.
Spoiler alert for Joey Janela. I know some people that are joining us today might not have watched it. I have not gotten through it, but it's okay because I'm still going to watch the match because I desperately want to see it because I realized that it was happening and what it was happening on and went.
Yes. So the second match was Motor City Machine Guns versus East West Express, which is Jordan Oliver and Nick Wayne. And it was for the GCW tag team titles. And if you've watched the show the last few weeks or seen my Twitter, you know that I have been begging the wrestling goddesses to let me have Motor City belt collectors. And for whatever reason, she will not let me have it because they lost the title.
This has scorned me.
They have scorned me. And listen, I really like Nick Wayne. I love Jordan Oliver. I've gotten to watch Jordan a lot over the last year or so getting into GCW, and I think Jordan is great. I really, really like him, and Nick Wayne is just Nick Wayne. And so I'm happy for them, but I am also
I wouldn't be surprised if that was partly Alex Shelley's idea.
I'm sure it was.
Having seen him wrestle him last year at that GCW show, and how much
and he
wrestled the kid over. And I know that school is like, I know Buddy Wayne's school is fairly well, populated with wrestlers.
Sure.
So
yeah,
obviously.
And the very first, and the Jersey J Cup, the very first match was Jordan Oliver versus Alex Shelley. So
there you go.
And and it was interesting. So Motor City just made their GCW debut last month, and they won the titles in their first match. I did see that they have been announced for, I think, the Detroit GCW show, I think is what I saw yesterday. Believe they'll be on that as well. Maybe it'll be a rematch. I don't know. But yeah, so the match was great, even though I knew it was coming, and I was mad and also happy because I like them, but I just want Motor City to be the damn belt collectors. They currently have one belt. They currently still have the New Japan Strong belts. And then if you watched the live stream on Friday, that's where we we just read the tweet from New Japan, but or we read because a friend texted us and my sister saw it, so she told us in the chat, and then somebody told me in Slack yesterday, and I was like, yeah, if you had watched the live stream, you would have seen that I already talked about it. But and I'm very excited about that match. But so we're getting at it's decent. It's at the Capital Collision show, I believe. So it's Motor City versus Oz. Hey, it's Aussie Open, right?
I think so. We did announce it on live.
And then Okada and Tanahashi. And I watched the clip back, and it's really funny because Tana's outside. Motor City goes out and talks to him, and they're like, "You're great." And Tana's like, "I know." That's really, really funny. And then Aussie Open was in it. Yeah. So it was Aussie Open because they walked up and said that Motor City had their belts and they were like,
Yeah.
no. So that's how the match came about. And it's going to be amazing. And they're probably going to drop the titles
Yes.
because the wrestling goddesses don't want to give me what I want. So they're probably going to take that too.
But they're going to give you a lot of good wrestling along the way.
They
So
are.
I guess
They
that's
are.
the trade-off.
So a little bit ago, Colin said that they've just got around to watching Bussy versus MDK from Joey Janela Spring Break. And so this MDK is actually Maki Death
Maki Death Kill, which is Maki Ito and
Nick Gage.
And
it's amazing. Like I love it so much. And
nice.
There were pizza cutters involved. Maki got her own special one. I won't go too much into detail about that, but it was everything that I could have possibly wanted. I loved everything about it. It was amazing. And Colin also said, I've got to watch GCW Emo Fight and the World on Lucha. I might go, I think I might try to go back and watch Emo Fight. I heard some good stuff about that as well. And then Nikki was talking about that match was so good. I think she's talking about Nick Wayne and about East West Express and Motor City. And then Nikki confirmed that yes, it is Aussie Open.
Thank you, Nikki.
Nikki said that she wants the Nick Gage and Maki shirt. I do too. That was supposedly a one-time only thing, but the fans,
I bet you it was at the venue.
The fans, I think they're selling it on GCW's website.
Good.
I believe I saw that. I think they started selling it a couple of weeks ago so that people could have it before the show.
I mean, I like to try and buy merch at the events if I can, but it's not always feasible because either it's just not something I will wear or it's or there's nothing. I mean, unfortunately, they usually don't make wrestling shirts, and they make them in either kid sizes or ginormahugic. So, and I mean, I don't think that, and I get it because wrestling fans in general, you got to order what size of the size of your your supply and demand, that sort of thing. But so as it is, like here, this year WrestleMania shirt is actually a boy's large. So and. Because unfortunately my tiny little self does not fit into the standard size t-shirt, but that being said, I got the Suzuki shirt at GCW because I absolutely had to have something from that. Both Bob and I kind of got the different shirts from, he got one shirt and I got the other from Forbidden Door that were kind of the totally different ones. But yeah, that sucks because I would buy that even.
So I definitely want to. But so they were saying that match was a one-time only like thing, but they were so over with the crowd, and you have to remember, obviously, Effie and Alley Catch are very over with the GCW crowd. That night, it was all about Maki Death Kill.
I can see that.
I really, they work so well together. Like it's a pairing that it shouldn't work, but it does. And it was so much fun. And I hope that they find somewhere to do it again because it was really, really great. What I'm trying to think. Oh, so Vikingo versus Speedball was on this show. And I loved that match.
Speedball.
Yeah, that was, and Vikingo. And this was the same. So Joey Janela Spring Break was the same night as Supercard. So Vikingo and Commander wrestled the first match of Supercard, and then Blake Christian was in the second match of Supercard. Well, the opening match of Joey Janela Spring Break was the DLC, which was it was a scramble match, and the winner gets a brass ring or something, and then I think it's like a title shot for something. That's
what it was. I remember because I started it. It was the reach for the brass ring. Something
like that. And so so Commander and Blake Christian were both in that match after it just been, Nikki and I were talking about it. I was like, I guess the three of them, because Vikingo's match was later, I was like, I guess they just, after the second match, they probably just got in a car together.
They Ubered together.
Over to wrestle that. So then so we saw that insane match that Vikingo and Commander had, and then he goes and wrestles Speedball like full force. I really enjoyed it. I was talking to a friend last night and he said he liked it, but he didn't, I guess it didn't live up to what he thought it was going to be, but I really enjoyed it. But I can see, I mean, I guess I can see why, but I thought the match was phenomenal, and maybe it's just because I love them both. And Vikingo hit a destroyer that nearly destroyed Speedball's back, and I was like, Jesus Christ! I got so many destroyers this weekend. I'm very
There were
happy.
some good ones.
There has been some good destroyers this weekend, and I got a lot of them, and I am very happy with that.
And then there's the situation with, and then there's been some destroyed legs or ankles that happened on.
Bless Dante Martin. I did see him. He did tweet a picture.
He did tweet a picture. The update for him. I mean, we did talk about him on Friday, so just but unfortunately, just given the fact that you're talking about own commander, and they were in that match, and unfortunately, in one of those spots, he spun his ankle around.
He did.
If you haven't seen it, trigger warning. And
it's him and it was him and Penta.
That's it.
In a ladder spot. And it's not.
It was ugly. So
it was very ugly, and he's going to be out for a while. He is out of the hospital. He did say, he posted a picture of him and his brother and Tony. Tony Khan met him, who came to the hospital afterwards, and so Dante seems to be in good spirits, and so it's a terrible thing when these things happen anytime, especially on a weekend like this. When
and their timing, those two, I swear to God.
They are two of and they had really been hitting their stride. And for people who watch Ring of Honor TV regularly, they've been in a feud with the Kingdom. It seemed like that was going somewhere.
They've been doing great on Dynamite too.
Yeah, and so
they've actually been featured.
Yeah, so we were talking about it on Friday. I don't know if they'll kind of do with him like they did Dante and have Darius kind of do single stuff, or if because AR Fox is there now, if they'll kind of just put them
back together like they did again.
Yeah. So there's definitely some things that it just sucks because they seem like such great people. And
unfortunately, I saw Dave tweet something about the fact that he was hearing Theismann level injury, which if you are an NFL football player, if you are not an NFL or from fan not familiar with Joe Theismann, had a career-ending knee injury that was gruesome video, as you'll see in Sporting. And
man,
I really hope that that's just what he was hearing initially, and that won't be the case.
It's not that
but
bad.
When I did see that tweet, and I know it's the real Dave now because he's back
his picture's back.
Well, it's not just we have confirmation that this is the real Dave Meltzer on Twitter again. It is no longer hacked. It is two-factor authenticated, and which in a way bummed me out because I was like, well, now I don't need to see that on your newly reclaimed Twitter.
Yeah, right.
Because I don't want to hear that sort of stuff for a kid.
Yeah, I really hope it's not that bad.
Me too.
Man, hopefully it's worse. Hopefully that was worst case scenario. But yeah, so going back to Joey Janela Spring Break. So the main event, which I will not spoil because I know you haven't gotten to it yet, but the main event is Joey Janela versus Kota Ibushi, and it was great. It was completely opposite. It was completely opposite from Speedball and Ibushi's match in Bloodsport, which we knew was going to happen. For people, we've talked about it last week. Kota is a DDT wrestler. He does a lot of crazy things.
He's a wild guy.
It didn't get to some of the crazy things that like where Ibushi can go, and I don't know if part of that is because he tweeted Thursday. Well, it's technically like Thursday night, but he tweaked his shoulder or something in training. And so Ibushi did. And that's the reason he hasn't wrestled for 2 years is because of that shoulder. And so I don't know if that's part of they did do some crazy shit because it's Joey Janela and Ibushi. And Joey Janela has wanted this match, and Ibushi. So they did do some crazy stuff, but not some of the crazy, like there were no sparklers, unfortunately. They did not ride bikes to the ring. There was no nudity. They cut their clothes on. It was still really, really good. And so I'm hoping that Ibushi's shoulder is not as bad as he thought. Hopefully he just tweaked it a little bit. And now that he's got his I don't know. We don't know what's next for him, like what he's got planned after these shows. But it's very, very good to see Kota Ibushi back in a wrestling ring. He looked very happy. Joey said some really nice things afterwards. It
Good.
clearly meant a lot to him that Kota chose GCW to come back to, and that he chose to, or he agreed to wrestle Joey. I think it truly, truly meant a lot to him. You could see it in his face.
That's great.
And the words that he just said some really nice things. And he did talk about his time in AEW, and he was talking about how he signed a contract and he lost himself. And he was like, he was like, and it was hard. He said, because I saw my ex-girlfriend with her new boyfriend every day. And he was like, and there's no heat on them. He's like, I love Penelope and I love Kip. And he was like, but he's like, and so I'm not talking about that part. He was like, but just seeing that.
But
and he was
that's
like,
hard.
Right. And he's like, and
He's still a human being.
yeah. And he was like, and I'm going through all of these things. And he was like, and I don't, and he's like, he was like, and he was like, he was like, I'm thankful for everything Tony Khan did for me. And he was like, I am thankful for the opportunities I got. And he was like, I'm forever grateful for them. But he was like, I lost myself. And, he was talking about how, well, he said he became jelly. And I think he meant because he gained weight. And, he's been working on himself a lot as far as that goes. And so it seems like Joey seems like he's in a much better place than he was. And so he seemed truly humbled and grateful by having his 7th show, and also to have Kota Ibushi do that in his first 2 matches back, and he got to be one of them. And so it was a really nice moment, and it was really cool to see. And the show was great. The matches were so much fun. And so I really, really recommend you, if you can, get to that before Thursday. Or if you're
I started it,
or if you're gonna get
it.
trial, definitely check that out. And so I actually started that, but then I left after Maki Death Kill, because I left watching wrestling to go watch wrestling.
Go watch a live show.
A live show. Went to support. Title Belt had their 3rd show last night, so I went to go support them and support the indie people around here. And this, because if you watched our interview with the Title Belt guys a few weeks ago when they first launched, they're a community forward promotion, meaning that they pick a nonprofit or some sort of an organization, and they donate some of the profits of their show to them. And so the last night's was the Bulb, which is actually funny because I had actually been following them on Instagram a few months ago before they even announced this. So they work with farmers to get produce into the households of people who may not have access to the fresh foods and to fresh vegetables and fruits, and they get, and obviously it helps the farmers out so that their food doesn't get wasted, and they're helping the community. So it's a really great program. Like I forget how many thousand people, it was like something like 80,000 people that they helped last year.
That sounds like mutual aid. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, and so that was a really cool thing to support. So I got to go watch wrestling and support a really good organization at the same time. So this is very cool to see. And we did get a little bit of an update on Ethan Case. So if
I was gonna ask,
very first show, Ethan Case, he is involved with Title Belt Pro, but he's also a wrestler. And in his match, he was injured pretty severely. They still don't have a lot of answers. It's going to be a very long time before he can get back into the ring. He is walking without assistance now. He's been working really hard in physical therapy, but he did say last night, so because it's going to be such a long road for him, they were wanting to keep him involved in Title Belt Pro. So now he's the general manager. And so,
awesome.
So he gets to be, and he said he's like, I was a kid for 16 and a half years. He's been wrestling for 19. And he's like, sometimes I needed somebody to tell me to, just to put my ass in place. And he's like, so that's what I'm here for. And he made a match last night for the next show. So it's fun. It's great to see him involved and stuff like that. So he seems to be he seems to be in really great spirits, and it was a fun show. And so there were 6 matches. I did get to see Anthony Henry last night. I did not get to ask him about about if there's a sign up list for Shibata, because I want to see Anthony Henry versus Shibata. I really want that match. I'm sure there's a sign up list somewhere going around. So I got to see him, and he qualified for a tournament. They're doing a tournament for a title, and so Title Belt will have a title.
Awesome.
So they're doing a tournament, and last night he beat it was Lucky Ali, White Mike, and Chip Day. And so they did a qualifying match last night. And so that was fun. But it was really cool to get out and support the local people. And because WrestleMania was so long, I had time to watch the show, come home, and watch the main event of WrestleMania.
WrestleMania, which I guess we'll talk about it
Yeah,
because we're
we'll say
basically there.
we'll go ahead and get to it.
WrestleMania Night 1 was actually
It's time for you,
not.
Daza.
It was yeah, it was really good. I'm not gonna lie. I
Good.
actually enjoyed
Glad.
it. I did not for all the the packages and the fluff. They put a lot of that in there. It's always going to be in there. It's
Yep.
WrestleMania. You're always going to have that.
Right.
I prepare myself for it, whether I'm sitting in the stadium or sitting in the living room. I do kind of agree. Like, you should definitely go to WrestleMania if you ever get a chance. If you have the means, do it. It's awesome. It's something you should definitely experience one time. But I'm with Dave on this one. Sometimes it's better to just sit in your house and watch it and listen and not have to. I mean, in his case, you would come home and watch it again, which I probably wouldn't. But
yeah,
there is something to be said. And it was it seemed like a great stadium. Everyone that was in the stadium that was talking to us in the Discord thread, they were sending us pictures.
Oh, cool.
It was packed. It was pretty. It was a brand new venue. It's really nice, all updated. It was a good show. They did a nice job. It was very well presented. Let's see. We got so Miz and Snoop Dogg ended up hosting. So that was a lot of fun. So Miz and Snoop Dogg came out in the convertible, the lowrider there. And Mel started having flashbacks. Like, what year is it? Wait, stop. But it was pretty cool. I mean, and they came out, and so they did. I mean, it was definitely a Hollywood thing. They what do we got here?
So Daza said that he enjoyed it a lot, although I'd forgotten how many ads, skits, and packages there are on WWE shows between matches.
Yeah.
Having 2 nights has proved a great decision as matches are given time with it still being a decent length show. See, and I'm glad that you said that because I had a conversation with some friends this morning about that fact, and he was like,
thing.
one was saying that they kind of wish they'd go back to one night, but a friend said he would rather have it on 2 nights than sit through 7 hours on one night. And then we were talking about how obviously back in the day, WrestleMania was still only like 4 hours. And another friend pointed out that it is usually the biggest payday of the year for a lot of especially the undercard talent.
Yeah.
So you want to try to get as many people as possible on the cards, and things like that. So, I mean, there's definitely pros and cons for both. I don't know that it'll ever go back to one night because 2 nights they're making
they're
money.
making money.
They're making the money. And then I saw some of the stuff about how
they listed it at here's the fake number was 80,497.
Yeah, Nikki, that number popped up and Nikki was like, that's what you say.
I think the actual number was somewhere in the 75 range, which is still
that's really good.
A load of people.
Shit. Yeah. And then
tonight they will probably come close to having a similar number.
Yeah.
Particularly since because the big match, the main event is tonight.
And that's the show that Mike Gilbert's going to, which, I mean, if I were going to pick a night, this would be the one.
Oh, no, I would have gone to the second night.
I would have picked this one too. And then, I saw some of the sponsorship stuff that they added in, how like they had the Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Oh my gosh, they were all around the ring. It took me a little while to realize what people were talking about, Cinnamon Toast Crunches. And then I was like, oh, I see them. They're all on the video. So basically, they're all around, the barricade around the ring where the fans are behind, where you can't cross. Were videos. They were, screens. And they all had little Cinnamon Toast Crunch people on. It was like an individual Cinnamon Toast Crunches. I was actually like, I don't want to eat any of those guys.
It's look. Because I had actually have a box of it now, but 2 weeks ago I bought a Cinnamon Toast Crunch because they're Lucha Libre themed, and they have so the little design so the box has them on there, and then on the back you can create your own Lucha Libre name and it has a mask you can cut out. In the cereal itself, certain pieces have obviously that doesn't usually print very well.
So they were definitely featured during Ray and Dominic, so that maybe must have been some crossover.
Yeah. And I saw the stuff with KSI that he was in the Powerade or Power whatever.
Yes, he was. Yes,
whatever that drink.
When we talk about the Logan Paul thing, and we'll get to that match.
So Sean says that WWE made $20 million million before the first pyro went off or the bell rang.
Yeah.
And he says, hello, Bombshells. Glad you two are enjoying the Best Week in Wrestling. Thank you for joining
Thank
us.
you.
You're enjoying the Best Week in Wrestling as well. But yeah, so I think because of the way they're doing things, they're not going to go back to one night. They're making way too much money.
No. No. And actually, honestly, if they keep doing it in places like this and they present it this way, it was fun. I actually did not. I was like, oh god, this is going to be such a slog. It was great to again, I talk about our Discord. If you guys want to join the Fight Game Media Discord, if you're interested in Discord at all, just give email to Garrett. It's gg@Fight Game Media. Please, let him know that you're a human being.
Sent you.
Tell him that Powerbombshells sent you. Tell him, we want to have we have a positive upbeat community in there, and we want to keep it that way. And we like it's a lot of Fight Game. You'll get to see all of us Fight Game Media people are in and around there.
It one of these days.
You'll be fine. You'll get there. And but we were on the thread and we were all just like we were having a lot of fun.
Yeah, my Slack, a couple of my other Slack groups were going off through and talking about stuff, and then a friend who couldn't make it to the show last night was telling us things that were happening, and so like I had it seemed like a couple of people like even said they were just like it just feels a little too long with the packages, but it seems like Sean says Cinnamon Toast Crunch will forever be known as the breakfast cereal that supports settling family fights.
Yes.
I haven't seen the entrance, but I heard about it, and I was like, for sure that Rey Mysterio entrance is going to come up on my timeline, and I can watch it there, and it has not yet, so I'm going to have to go seek it out because I heard about it, and I didn't know. I take that back. I don't know if Dino is still with us. He may have already left, but I saw a clip that he tweeted of it and how I saw that he paid tribute to Eddie, which was really nice to see, and that I heard that, but I heard Dominic's entrance was pretty good as well, and that there was like the reference about how his life has been a death for a record.
Yeah, there's only one unfortunate piece that needs to be brought up, and they have edited out subsequently.
Oh boy.
But so if you were to rewatch night one, you would not see it, but unfortunately during Ray's introduction, they just when they were doing all of these this and that, they showed scenes from Auschwitz. Very well-known, familiar. It's been edited out, but I believe that you can still catch it on the Reddit, and because the internet watches and catches everything.
The internet does it. Once it's on the internet, it never dies.
They were showing all of the horrible things that Dominic had been through, and going to prison, and going through all of these things, and Auschwitz, and it's like, wait a minute. And I actually, literally in our thread, it was such a recognizable picture that the people inside our thread were like, they just used a picture from Auschwitz, and someone else was like, I thought I recognized that picture.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh dear Lord. And
I think Nikki sums it up as, bro, what?
Yeah, unfortunately. And again, you will not see it the Reddit outlets that you can use.
No, I'm sure. I avoid that website as much as possible.
Sure.
I'm sure somebody will link it to me.
Reddit has a
I'm sure I'll Google it and it'll be there. Oh boy. Oh boy. Wow.
And given the fact that we now know that Vince is employed with the company.
Listen, what have I been telling y'all for weeks? Y'all try to not y'all, but
listen,
WWE, y'all tried telling me he doesn't work here. You can't tell me that man didn't force his way back in that company to not do anything. And then you're like, oh, he's
there to handle the sale, and
he's just there to see John Cena. He can see John Cena anytime he wants. That man went to his birthday party. Like, they can.
Except that Nick Khan specifically was interviewed during the course.
Finally he said the quiet part out loud.
He made it clear that Vince was only there for the sale, but it was still Vince's company, and it was still Vince's vision, and it was
and then he went on First Take with Stephen A. Smith, and he said that it's not my company, it's Vince McMahon's company. And I was like, told you, for all you people who try to tell me, no fucking told you.
Yes. The packages. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Oh, go ahead. Nikki said the packages can be helped from bathroom breaks and snacks. Yeah,
Agreed.
because that's one thing that we talked about with Supercard, how it was just constant. Like you didn't have time for anything. Like we were still trying to. They did little bits of packages to kind of build the story, but
No, the
didn't go
pacing on that show was
Yeah,
fantastic. It was paced like a New Japan show
and
almost.
even AEW shows are pretty fast paced where they
Close,
don't
yeah.
give you a lot of time to go to the bathroom or grab snacks or take your dog outside who's like, why are we watching wrestling
Who doesn't
again?
care that
Yeah,
you're
she's like, why are we watching wrestling again?
and they always wait until the match
Oh,
you
she was
wanna
trying
see
to go in the
most.
main event last night, and I
It's
was like,
always the match
"No."
you wanted to see most.
Oh, yeah, she was trying to go
Always.
after in the main event, and I was like, "Absolutely not. You're gonna have to hold it. I'm
You know,
sorry."
ours tried this during Revolution. They decided that during the Texas Death match, and we were like, no, that's not
Yeah,
happening.
exactly.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think Miley tried to go after in Revolution too. I can't remember what match it was, and I was like, "Hold it."
You're not doing
So
that.
Sean says, I said that this last night, Rhea versus Charlotte and Sammy and KO versus the Usos were 1A and 1B as far as match quality for me, and Ray and Dom was perfect from the entrances to the storyline and an overall chef's kiss.
Yeah. And I think that's a really great summary of the whole even Paul and I were a little leery. We were like, oh, Ray needs to win this, but we did not believe that he was going to. Even
I wasn't sure how that was going to play out because I've not
but
kept
in
up
fact,
with that storyline. I mean, I've kept up just through like Twitter and seeing people talk about it, but I haven't and the few times I've watched here and there, mostly for Bloodline stuff, I have seen some things. So I haven't seen. So I'm glad that you guys got the payoff that you wanted.
yes. And I mean, I would have understood what they were doing if they had decided that they did not feel as though if they had wanted Dom to win. I thought a lot of people thought that they would do a continuation and he would beat him at SummerSlam instead, or something along that lines.
Mm-hmm. I don't know
Dave and Brian, I was listening
that
to.
story have stretched that far. Do you think it had gotten was it?
I don't think so.
Just based on what I see, and again, I don't keep up with it. So for me, it felt like if you didn't do it now, like the story is going to run its course, and you have to.
I felt like it needed to, and especially after, to me, because I know Dave and Brian were talking about it, and Dave was like, "Oh, this felt like a blow off," and I'm like, "Well, not necessarily, because Ray beat Dominic, but now Dominic has to go back to Judgment Day, and Rhea won."
That's what I was just about to say. Rhea
won. I mean, this was like there was a great build for that, and that Rhea needed to conquer essentially Charlotte Flair to be really taken serious.
And I think Judgment Day also needed that as well, not just. And that's what I was gonna say I think we mentioned it last week, of the matches that Judgment Day had last night, like Rhea's was the most, not just because it was for a title, but I think Rhea's was the most important of those matches.
Well, and I think their story and Dominic having to go back to them.
Yeah.
I think that it's not so much of a blow off because him having to go back there and them having parted him from his father.
Yeah,
the idea would be that the long-term storytelling is that eventually Dominic and Ray will make up and be bros again, and back.
And then next year at WrestleMania, they'll wrestle Finn
and something in that vein. So I do think that as much as people were like, can you drag this? I think that was the right finish. And I think that it can. A lot of people were like, what are you going to do with Dom? To me, it seems obvious. Is that he's going to go back to those jerks. They're going to be bigger jerks to him. They're going to bully him into not wanting to be with them anymore. I mean, it's pretty standard stuff for WWE.
It's Finn's matches tonight, right?
Yes, and that is the Hell in a Cell.
And Finn is going to be Demon Balor.
And then you've got Brood Edge.
Oh, that's right. I did see that. So I'm going to add some comments over here. So Daza says Cole saying the kid needed some respect beaten into him was quite the statement. Does Ray's daughter wrestle? No, she doesn't. But she did see the picture from the Hall of Fame ceremony, and it was the picture. It was Dominic, Rhea, and Buddy Murphy, who obviously, and he Buddy
tweeted about it and said
Buddy quote tweeted it and said Aaliyah was on the other side of it. So I thought that was really, really funny. And then Sean says getting Ray's mask in the retirement match at WrestleMania 40. I can definitely see that. And I know they reformed LWO on SmackDown. I did see that.
Yeah.
That seems really cool. Did Ray have Muda's mask? Somebody said they thought he had Muda's mask
A lot of people thought that it did look a little bit like a Muda tribute mask. His mask it had sort of the lines going back and things like that. And it could have definitely passed for that. I think that.
And I was gonna say, if they're gonna make me sit through hours and hours again, then I want them to go back to doing entrances, like the really cool entrances.
Oh, they did.
Like I want it for every single match, because I hate that they've gotten where it was like one or two. Like I want every single match to have a cool entrance like it used to. Like if you're gonna make me sit through that, then I will take the extra time to watch the cool entrances. That used to be one of my favorite parts of WrestleMania, and then they got away from it. And it would be like one person would have a cool entrance. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I cannot wait to see what Cody Rhodes' entrance is going to be, because I know that he's going to do something huge.
I mean, you need to go back and watch the Logan Paul and Seth Rollins match. If you missed it.
No, because I don't like either one of them.
I saw
Logan. No, I saw Logan's entrance, because I saw the day before when it leaked that that's what he was doing.
Well, and then listen, I have no love for the craziness this Seth character to me is pretty
it's
mid.
Just that, and then
it's just
I've never been a Seth Rollins fan, so I don't care for him.
Well, he got dumber with this, but I know that people love it.
So people want to say, "Oh, he has a good buckshot lariat." I don't care. He's still a terrible person. You can Google how terrible him and his brother are, and it's not he's using. And I said it when he started wrestling that he was using WWE as PR to rehabilitate him, and that's what's happening, because a lot of people will overlook the shitty things that he has done and has been doing. Like, this man just got in trouble for cryptocurrency shit, but people don't care. But yeah, so I saw the clip of his entrance when they did the recap at the end, and I was like, that's plenty for me. I don't need to see anymore.
I actually, for that match, good, bad, or indifferent, it was actually a pretty good match. Logan Paul is actually, for someone who's not a regular wrestler, did a good job. He was impressive. Mm-hmm. The match was exciting. I actually liked the choral. They had a conductor doing Seth's song, and then they, did the burn it down thing, and but they had a choral group and a conductor doing the singing. 80,000 people singing his thing. Crazy wild match for a WrestleMania match. It was definitely it was a WrestleMania match.
So yeah, I'm not surprised by that.
Logan Paul's manager ended up being the guy in the bottle suit. A lot of people thought it was going to be his brother, but in fact, it was his
Thankfully, it's not, because somehow his brother is worse than he is.
Oh, he's worse.
He's way worse. So hopefully WWE, especially since they're trying to sell the company, hopefully they'll stay away from that. But then again, Vince McMahon is back in power.
I don't know. They have very tiny
this
kind of thing is exactly what the Saudis are looking for. So.
Yes, it is. Yep. That was a showcase for them to buy it.
And that was why, part of me was like, wow, this is great. And the other half of me was like, wow, this is the biggest sales pitch in the world.
Yeah, I can see that.
It was. Out of all the matches, it was definitely the one that was like, this is an ad and a sales pitch. And if you, and I would not.
And that's how they got the sponsorships in there too.
You take that match and you clip that and you put that in your PowerPoint and you present that to your potential buyers.
They can do the sponsorship and look how you can get ad buys, and look at how you can attract more sponsors, because we'll involve them in our show, and
we'll put little crunchies on the side on the barricades, and we'll have a Mountain Dew match in the dark, and that didn't happen on this show, but. It's
definitely part of the PowerPoint presentation, as that hopefully Drew Gulak
as the sales pitch.
Yeah, hopefully Drew Gulak is not the one putting together that PowerPoint presentation.
He's not good with those, huh?
So Daza said that Austin Theory is such a bland WWE style clone wrestler. Yeah, I do. I love his trainer.
So that was
AR Fox.
Yeah,
I love AR Fox very much, but I'm not a fan of Austin Theory for multiple reasons. And I was very glad that this was a night one match that I was gonna miss, because I'm not going out of my way to watch it.
Well, it was actually sort of. It was pretty meh.
Yeah, that's what I had a friend tell me that he was like,
I know that this is what they built up, but it was like, and Cena doesn't care. What does he care? But Also, it's like you kind of you were choice B to The Rock, who like blew them off, basically. Who
Then
never
he
actually.
posted a video on Instagram hinting, like he was talking about how his daughter was on Stand and Deliver, and then he's talking about all the wrestlers, and he's like, have a safe show. And then he was like, I might see you in person down the road. So he's still hinting at potentially doing something. So, but yeah, he blew them off. Stone Cold blew them off.
So Cena ended up being the guy, and they did a very short program to build this theory match anyway.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, I mean, it's not entirely his fault, but all things being equal, and Austin Theory did win, obviously, because John Cena's not going to carry the championship belt, I would imagine, around
Right.
since he's got other commitments. It did
Right.
look like they were going to give it to him for 5 seconds, but
I heard some people say that he did kind of a little
it
like
was
thing
bullshit.
at the. It was something
So
that
there was a ref bump.
Oh,
Cena put
I didn't hear about
Theory into the STFU.
Mm-hmm.
He tapped, but the ref was down. Cena thought that he won. He rolled over, realized the ref was down. Another ref came in while Cena was trying to deal with the other ref. While Cena was involved with the other ref, Austin Theory came over and Yambag Yahtzee,
Oh,
as
good
Taz
times.
likes to say. So low blow, Kevin Kelly's monitor went out. New
Just damn
ref,
monitors.
Ref came around, so we had New Japan referee bump going on here. Ref came back, just a basic sort of like, I think he body slammed Cena and pinned him for the win, and it was like, okay, so it's not like he like clean pinned him in the middle,
Right.
or anything
Well, of
like
course.
that.
Yeah, and I heard
was,
that like at the end of the match that John Cena like kind of did a little thing that they weren't sure if it was maybe a goodbye or like a goodbye for now, or like he kind of hinted that maybe that was it. But I was like, you can't have. I was like, I mean, I get passing the torch, which I guess could be, but I feel like John
I
Cena
don't
would
think
have a
he
bigger.
felt like, but that didn't look like to me, having seen Cena a few times live.
Right.
That did not look like a match where he was trying, like, he wasn't putting a kid over to be the next thing. He wasn't like passing the torch.
Listen, they have been trying to make Austin Theory the next thing for a while, and
but they don't know how to book baby faces,
and they
like
don't
that,
seem
so.
to. That doesn't seem to work well. And
Just,
he's very bland, and
he's okay.
There's other people they could be picking. So I want to go back to some other comments we had. Daza said Rhea versus Charlotte was perfect as there was no face versus heel trope, just two warriors going to battle like characters in a Mad Max movie. I really enjoyed the match. I did go back. So once the main event ended, I rewound it so that I could watch that match, because a lot of people said that was before, because obviously it hadn't got to the main yet, but they were saying that was the match of the night so far. And then I saw a lot of people saying that match wise, Charlotte versus Rhea was the best match, and then storyline wise, the Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sammy was the best match, because they were saying not that match was bad, but it was just a regular match. And then obviously it was the extra because there's so much emotion involved, especially when, we get which we'll get to in a minute, but some of the stuff that was in that. But yeah, I really enjoyed Rhea versus Charlotte. And somebody posted a clip, and I didn't catch it the first time, but when Rhea was on the top turnbuckle and she had Charlotte, that somebody said it looked like she said thank you before she did the move. And then you see they cut to Charlotte after the match is over, and Charlotte's on the floor, and she's obviously upset that she lost, but she looks very happy for Rhea, and she just looks very proud.
She did actually.
And I saw her tweet last night about how happy she was for Rhea, and how Rhea was like I forget how she worded it, but the tweet was very nice, and I think it felt like she meant it. Like I think she knew coming back into this, like when she won the belt so quickly, like I think she knew going into it, like, we're giving you the belt here because we've got to get it the hell off of Ronda Rousey, but you're going to lose this title at Mania to Rhea. And I think like she knew this whole time going into it, and was able to like build that. And it, like you said, I mean, like we said, it goes back to their story a few years ago that Rhea wasn't ready then. She's ready now, especially now that she's basically the leader of this faction, whether they want to admit it or not. Rhea and Dom are what carries that faction. And so I think for Rhea to have that, just to have that moment was really cool. And it seemed like Charlotte seemed genuinely really happy for her.
She was actually smiling at the end of the match, and a lot of people were like, what is she smiling about? And I'm like, she just put that girl over like huge.
Yeah,
that's why
she did.
She just did her job. Like
yes, she did, and she did it. And she did it
really. Actually, I was actually. I mean, I go back and forth on Charlotte sometimes because of where they stick her, but in this particular case, I think it was right. A lot of people struggled with this match because they were like, the heel is the baby face in this match. And it's like,
it's okay.
They had there was quite a heated discussion at one point in the Discord chat about who's the heel and who's the face, and it was like,
sometimes it doesn't matter. The match is what
like,
matters.
guys, we have a heel champion in AEW right now, so I mean,
the most over person in AEW is Jon Moxley, and he's
turning heel pretty hard.
Yeah, and his whole faction is heel, and we saw what happened with Claudio. And I saw the video, I saw a promo from after the match that Wheeler cut on Shibata, and he was like, I want to say anything that'll get us demonetized, but he was just like, F that guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, so I understand the argument, but sometimes that argument is just really old and it doesn't have any bearing on anything.
This is one of those times where it works.
Yeah, it does. And so speaking of Dom, go ahead. I didn't cut you off. Go ahead and finish your thought.
No. You were doing what I was doing.
Okay. So Sean says Ray versus Dom will carry on till Mania 40. They won't be involved with each other after week. They will possibly have a 6-man in Puerto Rico and then match.
I think that's true too.
Winning possibly. Yeah.
Especially since Escobar and Bad Bunny and a bunch of people. Bad Bunny was on commentary for that match. He took chains away. He actually left the table and took the chain. Dom was wrapping a chain around his hand to take out Ray, and Bad Bunny came in and yes. And so a lot of
Bad Bunny was there,
but Escobar and God, I'm losing the names. They came in, a bunch of the wrestlers.
Was it Legado? Is it everybody from Legado del Fantasma?
Yeah, I think so. A bunch of them came in and made the save.
Oh yeah, because then they were talking about
because what they were doing was they basically got Judgment Day out of the way so that Ray and Dominic could have their match.
Yeah,
and then I heard Bad Bunny took any props away. He basically was like, "No, you're not using gimmicks in this. You're gonna fight your dad real." And so.
Yeah, and I think somebody was saying that Joaquin is actually Filipino, not Latin or something. But...
Yeah, that someone made that hey, he's not even a Latin X, whatever. And I was like, it's Vince.
Yeah, Vince sees a brown person.
He's like, it's a brown person, and we're going to an island full of brown people, so let's put them together.
Right, exactly.
And I mean, I hate to be that, but
it's the truth, though. If for any of us who have watched WWE long enough and know things about Vince, we know that that's how he thinks. That's going back.
Everybody, it's
our argument about the Asuka thing.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting thing tonight. We get to that.
Vince has famously never liked Asuka. He doesn't
understand how to book her.
No, he doesn't know how to book her. He thinks because he doesn't think she speaks English well enough. He doesn't think she's attractive enough. He's all of these things that are very Vince. And so now we know he's an employee.
They had to make that public. They rehired him this week and had to make that public because it's public.
Before WrestleMania.
Right during WrestleMania week.
Yeah, of course they did. Of course they. What interesting timing. How funny how that works.
So we jumped right over the Viking Raiders thingy, which is fine. It was actually pretty fun. It wasn't a bad match. I wish that they would do different things with Ricochet. I
did see the spot
they call them the whatever male models.
Oh, the
Otis. And
yeah, I did see the clip of Doc's like running through, I think it was Braun Strowman.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that, and then I saw the clip like right after where Ricochet did his cool I saw
there were a couple of really cool spots in the match, is the only reason that I didn't want to skip over it entirely. Chad Gable can still wrestle, and it drives me freaking crazy.
I love American, and I loved American Alpha. God,
they never
Jason.
It's because of his size, obviously, but the guy can still wrestle. He threw some moves last night where I was like, it's one of those frustrating things when you see those guys doing the work. I saw the Viking Raiders back in the day at a house show for NXT, and it's really unfortunate that they haven't been able to like.
Well,
But
and
this,
I
I
watched them when
actually
they
felt
were.
like they let them go a little bit in this match, and it was fun. Like it actually ended up
Yeah.
being a
Well, I mean, they
fun
used to be when they
multi-man.
were War Machine and they were in ROH and New Japan. Like, I loved those guys. Like, they were so good. And then, WWE got their hands on them.
Yeah.
So
It's but I mean that match was actually pretty cool. And then we had Damage Control, the tag match with Damage Control versus Lita, Trish, and Becky.
yeah.
And let's see, that I actually really thought that, I mean, that was a good match too. It wasn't, I mean,
Yeah.
nothing special. There was a lot of, I know
Yeah,
that Trish wore her outfit that was her
famous one.
off, from the last time they were in
Yeah.
Hollywood. And they did all their spots. It was very much a Legends match where, Lita and Trish did their thing, and they got, Becky got the belt and all of these things. But I mean, out of all of the other matches, and the Charlotte and Rhea match was probably the highlight of, the women's showings on here. That being said, Io Sky is what they're calling her now.
Yep.
Again, another one who can still wrestle, and she did some like flying elbow spots where I was just like, dang it.
Yeah.
Making me mad.
Yeah. Yeah, and so Daza said the 4-way tag really supported me, as I normally don't get on with such matches, but it was fun and it was so many cool spots.
The big guys did a lot of like moonsaults off the, and a couple of frog splashes, some, weird suplexes. I mean, a lot of, but the big dudes were kind of like trying to be Jeff Cobb and Will Hobbs. And
listen, not everybody can be Jeff Cobb or Bad Dude Tito at that rate.
And Porta, and I mean, Bad Dude Tito makes a
like that. He did a frog splash on. I think it was Multiverse, and like it was incredible. Like I was like,
you're not supposed to be.
Yeah, and he just looked incredible when he did it. And yes, exactly.
But they did a big giant spot in that 6-man where they had like all the guys stacked up, and then I can't remember which one came in.
At least the ring ropes didn't break.
Well, and they were making jokes about it's LA, and I wonder what that registered on the Richter scale. And then I got to thinking to myself, what if stop. No, we're not having the World Series issue ever again. Please,
no.
Please.
Sean says that 4-way tag match had a frantic pace due to timing. I've heard, honestly, this should have been on the kickoff show. And then we'll go back to the 6th woman because there's some conversation over here. Daza said he loved the 6th woman. Bailey had made a cryptic tweet about the love affair being over. That's very interesting.
Bailey's Bailey.
Yeah.
Bailey's great. I have to agree with Jeff Hawkins made a comment about how she did a bunch of subtle stuff in this match where that was essentially putting the other. She knew exactly what her role was. She knew that they were putting them over. She knew that was how the match was going to play out. Mm-hmm. But she's still like, I almost wish they turned Damage Control face because it's such a great.
And I think that's what. So EOS, I mean. Yeah, so Daza
I think that's the big argument right now, is that everyone wants that.
Yeah, so Daza says Io and Dakota getting a WrestleMania match finally warmed my heart. Agreed. And then Sean says Damage Control needed that win. So do Io and Dakota split from Bailey? Does Bailey turn on Trish? Challenge for the tag titles, depending on if the ladies tonight are given one after their 4-way. Yeah, so it seems like there was a lot going on in that match. And I saw something the other day about somebody made a comment that Becky needed to watch her back in regards to Trish, I think was what the reference was. I didn't see the match, so I don't know exactly what that was in reference to, because clearly Lita and Trish are not going to be
Backlash that comes next, right?
Yeah, so I don't know how much Lita and Trish will be wrestling, and so it does seem that at some point, Becky does something or they do something.
I wouldn't be surprised if Lita just dropped off the planet and no one said a word about it, honestly. I'm not even kidding about that. And they do that on WWE TV sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
If someone just disappears. I would not even be shocked if the Lita did just sort of faded away and it just was a story between Becky and Trish and they just like Well, she was here for muscle. We didn't need to worry about that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she
Right.
did like her signature move and the whole thing. I mean, it was
Right. Which is
very,
what I mean, that's what they brought her in for.
but
That's
that
what
way
she
it was
does.
perfect. In
Yeah,
a
that's
good
what I
way.
heard. It was like,
That was not an insult. That was
oh
in
yeah,
a good
yeah, yeah.
way. It was like exactly that match was what you want. You got what you wanted out of that match. They executed the match the way that they were supposed to, as opposed to like you threw this match together and kind of had a weird storyline that
Yeah.
made it up. They managed to pull off a big finish for a kind of an okay mid storyline kind of build
Yeah.
for it. And
It was just
so
a
the
very
match was way better than the build.
good. I'm glad to hear that because this
So
woman worked really hard to do
they
that, and so I'm
did
glad.
work hard, and
And they worked. They did the
and
best
that's a
with what
great
they were
that point
given.
about Io and Dakota is Daza is 100% them getting a WrestleMania moment.
And
Being part
Bailey
of
knew what
that,
she was doing
absolutely.
by getting them together when she created them. She knew exactly what she was doing. She was pulling those. She was doing what she should do. She was using her position to elevate other women, which is hard to do in WWE when they don't elevate other women that aren't the four horsewomen generally. I mean,
And
obviously
even Charlotte,
we've seen Bianca. Yeah.
who
Charlotte,
takes
yeah.
shit for that, in this case, to her great credit,
Mhm.
did the job.
Yeah, she
She did
did.
it.
She did it. She passed that over to
So,
Rhea, and
and I
she's worked
actually
with.
would say to you, this is something that did frustrate me a little bit last night, is that WWE women, whether they get the time when they're presented better.
Mhm.
They are presented better than I almost
But
wish. I hate
on
to
the
say
weekly,
this.
they're not, right? On the weekly, I've heard that they fought. I've heard NXT's women are presented very well, but
Way
on the
better
weekly,
than
the weekly that the women on WWE are
I
not.
do wish it was better during the week,
Mhm.
but in a big event like this,
Well,
they
yeah,
were
and I'm
able
very
to,
glad to hear that. That's really
and I
important.
felt like they were well I didn't it I don't feel like they skimped on the women's
Good.
matches. I felt like
And
they gave them their time.
And since we are talking about women's wrestling, I do want to mention because today is Bianca versus
Oh,
Asuka.
that's right. We forgot. Yeah.
And I've seen some tweets. Apparently, Asuka tweeted out today and was asking if all the mean tweets she was getting today were from Bianca fans. And
Probably.
she was like, and she was like, because I saw a tweet that said block and block and block. So apparently she was blocking some people, but then I saw somebody send a tweet later into one of the slacks. And so apparently, like, this woman has got to
Nice.
focus on a giant
What a
match,
life.
and these people who are potentially Bianca fans are harassing her, which is not a surprise in stan culture because it's just what they do. It's not
Trolls gonna
right, but
troll.
it's very disappointing to see. And so, especially on a big day like this, and it's annoying. Sean says just one step closer to Charlotte becoming a 15 then 16 time champion. That is true.
It's true. Yeah.
That is
Someday.
true. But at least she did the job to Rhea on the way and is giving Rhea her moment. And hopefully they book Rhea really well. I don't trust them on booking women in general.
Yeah, we'll see how
So
this goes, where they
we'll
take
see.
this.
He says Bianca fans have become new Sasha stans. I have heard some references to that, and that's really disappointing, especially because not that any wrestler condones this behavior, but that just seems like particularly Bianca would not like condone her fans acting like that, especially to somebody like Asuka, who's a freaking legend.
Well, it's gonna be a great match. I mean, this should be a good match. So
Yeah,
there's no reason for anyone to be harassing anyone.
exactly. And like we
That's
talked,
so old school. Like, why don't you wait for her in the parking lot while you're at it?
right? So Daza
Why
said
don't
it
you
felt like
slash her tires?
don't give these people any
I
ideas.
know. It's
But
just
yes, no, but I know what you
how
mean.
old school that is.
Yeah, it
though.
really
That's
is.
what that reminds me of. Is like what
Yeah, that type
it's,
of
is it
behavior.
1972 and you think the guy's really a bad guy?
Yeah,
Like, come
right.
on.
So Daza said it felt like the women were in charge of a lot of what happened in the match. That's
I think that's
I
accurate.
hope so. And it seems, and I guess in that situation, Charlotte is somebody that you would be like, just call it on the fly, or like make just you lead the charge. And then I'm sure she let Rhea get her ideas in there as well. And the match was really, really good. And so I'm really happy for them. And I'm happy to hear that the 6 women, did its job, and the 6 women got their spots and I'm happy for them too. I'm really pleased.
It was a lot better than it looked on paper. How about that? A lot of people saw that match on paper and went, okay, bathroom break. And right. I was like, no, this is actually worth watching.
Good. I'm glad.
So,
I'm glad to hear that.
and then what happened after that? After that was the big,
The big main
the
event.
big. It's time for the main event.
And we
But
finally got, and I was so
Sammy
glad
got his moment, kids. Sammy and
so
Kevin
we got
have
that.
at least started. Oh, go ahead and read that
No, I didn't
comment.
mean to. I hit one. I was
Oh,
going back to see
no,
if there was an old one that I missed
no.
related to
Okay.
this, and I clicked the wrong one. I was trying to go back
Alrighty.
up in here because we are very glad that you were active in the chat. We
Yeah,
appreciate that.
thank you guys for
And
being
so
here and
sometimes we
hanging
miss
out.
some stuff, but I'm try not to
Well,
jump
sometimes
around
we
too much.
know that we're going to talk about it, so we want to bring it up when we're
Yeah.
talking about it.
Did I get it? Because
There
I
was
see the
an.
one that I did bring up, and so there may have been another one,
Let's see.
um, but this was the match that okay. So Sean says the producers of the recent women's matches I think have been Molly Holly and Jamie Noble.
Well,
And
that's
then I
awesome.
know that TJ Wilson has been involved in some of that stuff too. He's been producing some stuff. And then I don't know if he's done anything since Royal Rumble, but Jason Cade I know did the Royal Rumble women's match. And Jason Cade was somebody who wrestled here for my local promotion for several years. And he's moved to Florida and he's been doing a lot of stuff. and and so I'm glad that Jason got that because Jason's awesome, and I hope that he gets to do more stuff with WWE. I know, but I appreciate it. We're not trying to ignore your comments. We're just trying to stay sort of on track because we're already over the 2 hour mark here. We're gonna be a WrestleMania pre-show at this rate. But we really do appreciate you guys being active because it's really fun and we can play off of what you guys, especially because I didn't watch Mania, so I like getting opinions of what other people saw. I only watched two matches.
It was Mel's responsibility to watch the Mania
was.
Night one.
And this was the one match that I cared about them. There's only like 4 matches that I really cared about all weekend, and this was certainly one of them because I love the Usos, and of course, rightfully so. Sammy and Kevin are getting a lot of accolades, but the Usos have killed it in this. They're finally
been the best storyline in WWE
like
years.
Yeah, the Usos have always been great. I've always been a fan of theirs. Their stuff with New Day always have told great stories, but I'm glad we kind of get to see this kind of stuff from them. And they have just the solo stuff and seeing not Solo Sokoa, I mean Solo Sokoa too, but Solo as in singles wrestlers is what I was getting at. But Solo has been great
frustrating.
too.
There's a guy in the group named Solo,
yes.
but
I was like, let me clarify. But they just the single stuff we've got to see and just the character development, like they deserve a lot of credit for everything. And of course, and I don't want to, because I am a huge, like I do love Sami Zayn, but I'm a huge Kevin Owens fan. And so of course I am super excited about last night, but the Usos were incredible and have been incredible. And I'm so happy that they kind of got, not that they've been lost, because clearly they've had really great stuff with the New Day and other tag teams. And they've been a cornerstone of tag team wrestling in WWE for a long time. But I'm really glad that they got to show like who they are separately and how they react to Roman Reigns and just all of that stuff. Like it's been so good for everybody, and I'm very happy for all of them. And Nikki said that Jason Cade is an awesome wrestler, and I hope he keeps his position. Me too. So, but yeah, this was really good.
It was great. It was a great main event. It totally delivered. It was exactly what it should have been. What do we got here? This says the tag match was a WrestleMania worthy emotional moment, and they didn't have to sacrifice Cody going after Roman's long reign with a parcel with the title. Oh, you know what? You're right. It's really true. They, you know what? They had their night, and Roman and Cody have their night,
right?
And I think that was the right call.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
I kind of, and as far as going back to the argument of what should have main evented night one, I really do, like, I completely understand having the Usos and KO and Sammy headlining, like, but on the other hand, I do get the argument that Charlotte and Rhea should have main evented, because it was at one point that the winner of the Royal Rumble got a Mania main event. You have a 2-night main event. I mean, you have two shows. They technically should close it out. And match-wise, Charlotte and Rhea was better. This was a really great match, but this was the story. I think the story carried it more than anything, and it was the payoff we'd all been waiting for. So I get why they closed it, but I also get the fact that Charlotte and Rhea probably should have or could have, if you're going with that argument,
I am in the camp of people who feared the walkout
What
at
do you
the
mean?
end. I feared that I would love to see the main event, but I was afraid that if they did main event, people would start to leave.
Oh, well, fuck them then.
I mean, but that's not what you want people to
No.
do.
Well, no. Sean said this
And
bloodline story earned the main event spots on both nights with Cody winning the Rumble. It tied in perfectly. Sort of unfortunate with Rhea. The Women's Rumble didn't get it, which again, I get that argument. They did earn it. But if the result of the Royal Rumble is that you get a WrestleMania shot and it's the main event because Sasha and Bianca main evented because that was, I mean, it was the story and it should have, but also it was the Royal Rumble. Like they presented it as the winner gets the main event WrestleMania. So if that's going to be the rule moving forward, then they're going to have to do it regardless of what the story is, or they need to get rid of that. The lady story was lacking. Well, yeah, of course it was. Because they put all of their eggs in the bloodline basket and they can't tell, they have a hard time. Well, I mean, Ray and Dominic, I guess, was probably the second most storyline, but that's on the writers for not giving them a story. That's their fault. But if they're gonna make if the caveat of the rule is if you win the Royal Rumble you get to main event WrestleMania, then they need to stick with it, or they need to get rid of that rule. So it's got to be one or the other, because it's not fair to Charlotte and Rhea that they got that taken away from them because WWE can't book their story for shit. And so, but the bloodline again, but I understand on the other hand, the bloodline has been the big story for the 2 years. And obviously, if they're going with the bloodline collapse that I think they're going with, then it makes sense to main event. But again, it screws. Like I see both arguments, but I'm in the camp of if you're going to tell people you get to main event if you win the Royal Rumble, then you have to stick with it no matter what the storyline is. Daza said they can't or won't invest time in writing compelling stories for women. Nope. Which is why I quit watching and why I quit time in women's matches.
Well, and that's the thing is it's like they are presented well, but at the same time, like they were presented well last night, but at the same time on a weekly basis, they talk to, I mean, the script is that they give these women, no women talk to each other like that.
Right,
that I've ever, and listen, I have a lot of guy friends in general, because that's just the way that my life worked out. But
sure.
No women I know, no women I've been friends with, no women I've worked with, no women I've had heat with in my life talk to each other the way that they script the women talking to each other in WWE.
Well, and it's just in wrestling in general, because we've talked about that in AEW a lot about how
I think in their case though is because they don't have a script at all. They have the opposite problem where some of those women don't know how to do that yet, and
which is again why I have made arguments for Maria, but that's a whole other show.
That's
or you can go back to many other shows where we talked about it.
It's both companies have issues.
Yeah. So Sean said at least they aren't stuck with the Europe. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm glad that they finally got away from that, because it took them a very long time to get away from it.
Yeah.
But yes. And I mean, and I agree. I mean, I do agree with both things. And I completely understand why KO and Sammy and the Usos were deserving of that spot. And I'm very happy that they got that moment. That they got that, especially because we know, especially for those of us who've been fans of Kevin and Sammy for a long time, we know their backstory. We knew that.
They made reference to El Generico last night.
Yeah, they did, and there was
during the match.
Yeah, and then there was like that's where they cut their teeth and became what they became indie darlings in the LA area. And then I watched a clip later of them talking about, because they are from Montreal and they are products of Montreal, and Sammy said he didn't realize until the question was asked, like how he thought the people of Montreal were reacting, and he was like, I'm sure they're so happy for because we got our start there. That's where we cut our teeth. And of course and then Sammy had his he had the stuff at the Elimination Chamber, and he obviously didn't win there, so now they kind of got that win back. And then they also showed I saw a clip in the press conference where they put over the Usos and were talking about how great they were, but they were talking about Kevin mentioned Mark and Jay Briscoe and how much they had to do with how much they had to do with their careers, and they hope that they made Jay proud last night. And I thought that was really cool of them. And yeah, I did see that, Sean. They had an homage to Super Dragon and PWG on their gear, and somebody said that Sammy had his name in Arabic on his gear, which I thought was really cool because so I saw that there was a thing last night that Sammy was the first Muslim to main event and also to win. And so it was nice for him to get that moment for many reasons, but then also in the back of my mind, I always have to think, what happens if the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia buys?
Oh, you know what happens.
Yes, and I do. So I'm glad, and I'm sure that's in the back of his mind too, that that's something he's got to try not to worry about so that he can, have this moment continue the story. But I'm so glad that he got all of that. And then, and also while we're talking about stats, I saw, so Kevin Owens is now a Grand Slam champion with that win. Rhea is the first and only woman to have won the title in NXT UK, NXT SmackDown, and Raw,
cool.
and in addition to being tag team champions, or something like it was some crazy stat, like all these things that Rhea has had, which is really, really cool. And so I'm really glad to see. And so I always like to see cool stuff like that. And like tonight,
we were joking about the Pro Wrestling Gorilla thing because we were like, Vince had no idea what was going on. They were like, we were joking that he's like, do they think that there are gorillas wrestling? Like, it was very, very funny.
Probably.
How,
and then there's also and then the Young Bucks, they tweeted last night, and their header photo was the old building in Reseda where they all wrestled and stuff, and so that was really cool. And then and I saw Adam Cole tweeted about Pat McAfee.
That was like the surprise
was really
match.
Great.
They randomly
I'm glad because it gave me time to get home.
It was amazing. Everyone was like, okay, well, it was really funny. Kevin Ely from the Boom was like, can someone tell me what's next? I got to go grab my daughter from a thing. And I was like, you've got time. You probably, I figure, if you live in a smaller area like me, I definitely could have run up to the rec center, got my kid, and come back, and had plenty of time to get to the next match. I think it was in between the Damage Control match and the end of the Rollins match, so there was plenty of time. What do we got here?
Yeah, I just wanted to throw this up even, but so Daza says, who has good stories for their women stardom at Pro Wrestling Even England.
I know,
probably that TJPW that was doing some shows.
Well, I have been a good friend of mine who is the one who ultimately got me into all the stuff I like has been on me to watch the TJPW stuff on my Wrestling Universe, and so I will be.
Excuse me.
I get a little. It is what I have seen of the TJPW women is very impressive though, and a lot of fun.
Yeah, I definitely want to check out because I was like, I probably can't. I don't know that I can commit to another subscription service just because. Finding the time to watch it,
watching and spend money.
Yeah, I definitely. So I want to check out those TJPW shows that WrestleCon did, just so I can get a better idea and get a little bit more familiar with women, and stuff like that. And Sean said, "Did you catch that after Rhea and Charlotte were announced? The commentary team put over that this was the first time in history it was two women competitors with two female competitors with a female ring announcer and a female ref." Yes, I did catch that, and thank you for reminding of that because I did hear that, and I thought that was super cool, and that's. Because first I was thinking about it. So I guess Sasha and Bianca had a female announcer, but not a female referee. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, it was. I believe that's what it was. But that's so cool. Like, it's crazy that in 2023 these milestones like that are still happening, but at least they're happening.
I still feel like in the way that. I still feel like North American women's wrestling is evolving. It's not because if you look at the Japanese wrestlers, they have a system in place and so the reason that they are at the level they are and they do have their own promotions and they do have their own storylines is because it's been well established there for quite some time.
Right.
In a lot of ways, and I continue to say this, the women that are wrestling right now are defining what women's wrestling in North America is going to look like in the future. Right. They are still building. Mm-hmm. We have to, we look at the Charlottes and we look at the Baileys and the Horsewomen and stuff like that. And then we continue to look at the Sky Blues and the other
Well, and then
upcoming women who are,
yeah, and then
they are defining it. And so it is
Yeah.
going to be a little scattered because
Well, yeah, and then you
we don't have a model.
Sure,
We're
right.
building the model.
Right, and then you even also have in a situation like Mercedes, where Mercedes she
Awesome.
left the biggest company in North America to go wrestle in Japan and to wrestle in different places and to know her worth. And so she's setting that example for women too, to go learn where, I mean, like we've seen Jade talk about where she wants to go wrestle in Japan. So like we see these women who now they have this access to go to these places that they may not have had before. And
they
this
can
is
bring it back and make it their own. That's the cool thing.
And they can,
like Athena
and
and Yuka Sakazaki on Friday night.
Right. And then
Yuka she's a TJPW wrestler.
Right. And then you see
So
even like, in New Japan, like where they bring in, that's why they send them on excursion, is so that they can get the types of all the access to different types of wrestling all over the world and then blend it into their own. Sean says we're only 2 generations from when Moolah ruled the women's wrestling world. Like that, to put it in that context is insane. It's correct. And I thank you for that, Sean.
And Moolah was not exactly someone you want to model your women's division.
No, she turned out to be a
probably
terrible,
in fairness,
person.
And that's a great point. And in fairness, she probably set it back.
Yeah. She
probably held it back.
She did hold it back because
take her out of the picture in North America and what the cartel like influence, like the mob, like mob boss, like influence she had on women's wrestling. You could say that she kind of delayed any evolution because she did.
And then she also delayed women of color wrestling and being in spots that they're finally getting in now and still fighting to get into now so stuff like that also held all kinds of women back from opportunities and things like that. And then she didn't want a job for anybody and she wanted to do all of these things. So yeah, she did, for as much as she did for wrestling, just taking her, how awful she is as a person, out of the equation, she still only wanted to put herself over for so long that she did, for all of the things that she did for women's wrestling, she probably did much more to that was a detriment to women's wrestling. Yeah.
And that's a great point about the two generations thing, because that's kind of where my mind is at also, is that they're still, these women should actually be pretty proud of themselves. They're taking a lot of shit from people. There's been a lot of like changes. There's a lot of different things. Right now we have the amount of promotions and independent recognition, and you know, these moments on WrestleMania will always, it's still going to keep helping get to a point where that is the main event, and it more often. So, and we have now,
and hopefully eventually they'll get the stories that go along with it.
Yeah,
hopefully they'll get their version of the Bloodline story.
That's on both companies, and we talk about it every week with AEW.
We do.
And I think we've got to make sure that we are being impartial on this one. That's both major companies in North America right now could stand to have some help with the story direction. However, however that works.
Yeah, exactly.
Before we drown people, let's do a quick
he said, Sean says, really wish the women's WrestleMania battle would have been named the Sensational Sherry Invitational. It should have been. I agree. It really should have been.
Like it.
But yeah, before we'll get into Allison Danger, to get her involved. Well, she was in NXT, and then she was let go during the last round of budget cuts. She was let go. But she was there for a little bit of time.
And I have to add 1 hour of wrestling that I did watch this week that I didn't even think about, because Jeff Hawkins told me that Shaft was wrestling.
Yeah, I meant to tell you about it.
I ended up watching, so I just put that dark on and watched the whole thing, and it was excellent.
Yeah, it was really good.
And we've seen Jeff.
Yes, I did see him, and I'm glad that he said, because I saw him and I was like, oh,
that women's match that was on there was also excellent match, that was a good show.
I think that was the show that had the one women's match, but it was like 6 minutes. So
yeah, but it was equivalent.
It was the equivalent to three Elevation women's matches.
I was really glad that he called that out, because I ended up watching that whole dark, and it was a great dark. Real
Yes,
good
it
stuff
was
on
good.
those.
Yeah, sometimes it's just some, filler stuff, and sometimes there's some
A
really
lot
good
of
stuff
times
over
it's
there.
timing for me. It
Yeah,
becomes a time issue where it's like I just can't get to that one this
yeah.
week.
No, I understand. Yes. Yeah, well, Sean, we did talk about that a little bit earlier. I don't know if that was before you got here, but yes, F. Rick Steiner.
We definitely we made
Yes,
sure to
yes,
put,
yes.
but it doesn't matter. You can tack on another one.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
still
we'll say it as many times. We say it next week
F
too if
that
you want
guy.
to.
So
Say it next week if you want. But yes, so
you're not phobic. You're an asshole.
right. Right.
Sorry.
Right.
That's not a thing. You can be afraid of spiders. You can't be afraid of how a human runs their life.
Right.
That's called being an asshole.
It is called being an asshole. Yep.
And that one's fine. I'm pretty sure they don't demonetize that one. So
Yes. Hopefully not. But it would have been worth it if they did. Sorry. Gigi might disagree, but whatever.
be like, you guys gotta stop saying asshole online all the time.
Listen, that's in my normal everyday vocabulary, okay?
Well, I mean, if the guy's gonna be one. Okay.
Yeah,
okay, butthole. Anyway, so all right, we're getting long here, so let's do a real quickie WrestleMania Night 2 preview. So, and we really appreciate you guys hanging out with us.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate
This
it.
is a marathon one even for us.
Yes, and again, thank you for being active in the comments.
Yeah.
It really helps us. It helps us to interact.
Good conversation today.
Yeah, I enjoy it every week. I always enjoy it, so I really appreciate that. Thank you for talking to us. So we're not just talking. I mean, I do enjoy talking to Mel. We could just talk to each other.
We could just talk to each other.
But it's always nice
outside, the point is, I mean, talking about this stuff, and I like it. And we have the show where you get to talk about all the wrestlings.
We do all the wrestling.
All you other people pick a topic and stick with it. That's why they come on our. But no, that's why they come on our show all the time.
That is true.
That's why we get the best guests.
Sure. Yes, it is true.
Let their hair down or their weaves.
Damn it.
God damn it, Mike. Anyway, so night 2 of WrestleMania takes place tonight. The biggest biggin in the world is the main event.
So excited for this main event. Like, I'm not excited about WrestleMania itself, but I'm so excited for this match.
It's really bad because I can't really I know the matches, but I can't off the top of my head really remember.
The only thing that I know
tonight.
that's happening.
Bianca and Asuka.
Bianca and Asuka.
Those are the two that I.
Right. Those so I'm gonna post the article. I've got it in my drafts to send out because a few weeks ago they did an interview with Bianca, and so she was talking about how somebody last year dubbed her Mrs. WrestleMania because she's won 2 Manias in a row, and so she was like, oh well, then that means I have to three-peat next year, and she was like, and regardless, I want to have a banger with whoever it is. She's wrestling Asuka. She's gonna get her banger. She'll get her banger. And we've talked back and forth about this a few times about what happens here. Like, on the one hand, you do want Bianca to I think it would be very cool for Bianca to three-peat. I think that's awesome. She gets her 1 year as champion. I understand because I don't watch WWE on a regular basis that some people are tired of her. And then but then on the other hand, the story has kind of been Asuka. She's kind of reinvented herself. She's been able to use more of the Kana character. She's just doing all these really cool things. It should kind of be Asuka, but we also don't trust them to book Asuka properly once she wins the title because they've never since she left NXT, they don't know how to book her. I'm very concerned about what happens to her if she wins. So now I'm just hoping for a really good match, and I don't watch regularly enough to care. I mean, I do care what happened. I do care that if Asuka is treated like crap again, I do care about that, but I also don't watch enough, so it doesn't affect me in that sense. Right. And then Sean says there's a women's 4-way tag match tonight, and Daza said, I'm hoping the women's tag will over deliver if the good workers take charge. I hope it over delivers, especially because we know the history of the women's tag team titles and that they don't give a shit about them, and I hope those women just say F you to them And also, Sean says we're getting Finn versus Edge in Hell
Oh,
in
that's
a
right.
Cell.
Which we talked
With
about a
we
little
did
bit
talk
earlier.
about
We
briefly. We were
mentioned
talking about
it.
Judgment
We're
Day.
getting Demon Finn Balor
Yes.
versus potentially Brood.
Yeah. And is Gangrel supposed to be there? Or
Gangrel is supposed. He was
so they
confirmed to be there.
okay,
So
that's
it
what I
does.
thought, which
I
that'll be
mean,
cool.
it pretty much seems
So
like if
potentially we could see Christian here allegedly.
I
I
did
don't know.
hear, and you're right. I heard that he could potentially show up, and
Oh, but then we also heard on Friday's show, we had heard the rumor that there's also a rumor that Edge could be Edge and Christian could be reuniting in AEW and not in WWE. And then that reminded me of a dream that I had where I dreamed that Edge was in he was in Daly's place. Of all places. That's where of all, I guess because I don't know why I dreamed that it was a Daly's place. I guess because I've been there twice. I don't know. But yeah, that's where I dreamed that
that's so interesting though.
And it was on a dark. And so
I mean, you got the MJF
I did get
half right.
I got most of the MJF.
You got the gray suit.
I got
all. The only thing we never got was the snow, but I still am not convinced that the confetti wasn't the snow.
That could have been. Yeah, I will take it. I will take that part of my
because so there was confetti, and
we'll see if this dream comes
true. I mean, I'm just saying.
So Sean says Christian was given permission from Tony to be there. Well, that's interesting.
I thought I heard something to that effect.
Okay,
I hear a lot of things during the week, and
right.
Some of them I'm not allowed to talk about, apparently. So,
Daza said he wishes Asuka would have been given a run with Io. Me too, Daza. I wish a lot of things with the women's wrestling. Intercontinental 3-way. What is that? I mean, I know what the Intercontinental title is, but who was in it is what I'm asking. What is the Intercontinental title? No, I know what that is. New Japan doesn't know what an Intercontinental title is because they... Poor old Naito. I heard Naito's coming to the Philly show. Naito and Hiramu are tagging against who was it? Kenta, maybe? No. Somebody, and then they put Chase Owens on it. I was like, ew. Why is Chase Owens in this match? But I'll say that anytime he's in a match. Okay, thank you. It's Sheamus versus Drew versus Gunther. Oh, that's right. And Drew's supposedly not in the his contract is like him and WWE are very far apart on contract stuff, apparently, is what I keep seeing. Yes, I know it's Chase, but who is the other one? Is it Kenta? She'll tell me in a minute. These comments come in on a delay sometimes, so it takes us a second.
They do come in on a delay. Here we go. Undisputed Universal Champion. Intercontinental Gunther, Sheamus, McIntyre.
Yeah. Right, which is what Sean was just saying.
Miss anything.
And then
got the Fatal 4-Way WrestleMania Showcase with Braun Strowman, Ricochet. No, that was last night.
That was last night.
So that didn't actually
Nikki said I was really excited, and then I saw Chase, and I was like, womp womp. Yeah, because Nikki was reading it to me while I was driving, and I was like, ew.
Brock Lesnar versus Omos with MVP.
Oh, that's right. Because weren't they supposed to do like a weigh-in or some crap, and then they didn't?
Well, there was that, and then there was like Lashley got dropped from the thing because no one wanted to work with Bray Wyatt, and then everyone thought it was stupid what he was doing, and so there was a big fight there. But I'm undecided here.
Isn't Bobby doing or wasn't there something about an open challenge or some stuff? Or was that a rumor? And then it didn't happen, and now they're doing the Omos thing. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what it is here.
And then so Lesnar's not doing anything on WrestleMania?
That's it. Versus Omos.
Oh yeah, the Brock Lesnar versus So Omos. Bobby Lashley isn't doing anything.
Bobby Lashley is not on WrestleMania as of the moment. I'm
sure they'll find something for him.
And if I am wrong, I will be soundly commented that. So
we can talk about it next week.
But I think that's
Sean says the Brock match can go no longer than 5 minutes. Yes, he should just have a 5-minute challenge. It should be like the Proving Ground matches in Ring of Honor.
Why don't they just do it like the TV title in New Japan, where they make a 15-minute time limit or something?
He can't go 15 minutes.
He can't go 15.
That would be 5 minutes.
Oh,
yeah. So
yeah.
mean,
So
it should be
there's that.
interesting. I'm just ready for Bianca and Asuka are gonna have a banger no matter what the result is.
I think
And
there's a smaller number of matches. There were only 7 matches on last
probably
night.
because they're gonna give so much
They're
time to
gonna give
Cody.
a lot of time
to
to
Cody
some of
and
these
Ro-
matches.
Well, and Cody and Roman, I think will have decent time, and then the aftermath will probably have.
Yeah, there's going to be shenanigans and things like that. We could potentially see. I know that there's still a chance Jay White is out there somewhere, so maybe open challenge tonight, possibly LA. Okay, so Sean says Bobby has an open challenge tonight, possibly LA Knight. Biz may not be the host after losing to Pat last night. Maybe they'll give it to Snoop Dogg.
Nikki says he should stop wrestling altogether, and that is in reference to Brock Lesnar.
Sure, but then he won't get $5 million for doing 2 spots.
Yeah.
So Brock Lesnar's getting paid, Nikki. I'm really sorry. And you know Vince. He's going to always put that guy on TV and give him that check.
Especially because he's back, so.
In the Saudis loves a big monster heel guy.
Well, anything happened with Bray and Uncle Howdy? Bray is hurt, right? Isn't that the thing that's going around? And he's got an undisclosed no, not he's hurt, that he's sick. There's like an undisclosed illness or injury or some sort.
I thought that was
that's
what I
the
heard
story that's been going around. I don't know how
Who
accurate
knows?
that story is. Maybe that's just so people don't think he's on TV and then he comes back tonight. I don't know. And we clearly, and as some people pointed out who thought maybe Vincent was Uncle Howdy, we know that that's not the case because Vincent and Judge showed up at Supercard.
Correct. So it would not be them.
No, it would not be. Even though some people also think it's Eric Young because they heard him in a promo or like heard a voiceover thing that they did in the house, the Fun House segment, and thought it was him. And there was rumor because he left in December, and there were rumors that he was gonna be involved with that. But who knows?
Maybe Shinsuke Nakamura will come back or something.
That would be nice. Nikki said someone should pay me for suffering while I watch these matches.
I know.
Sean says time for WWE and Bray to shit or get off the pot already. Come to a point already. Yeah, it would be nice, but if there is a legitimate injury or illness, I guess it's gonna drag on some more. I don't know.
Yeah, I hope that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they are doing with him ever. Mm-hmm. They did all that great build with the White Rabbit stuff.
And it was so much fun, and it's great.
And it was great. And when he
Bray
and then
Bray has a really great mind for that type of stuff. And
then it was
just sucks that they can't get the wrestling part of it together. Which is why I'm like, come to AEW and come back with Matt Hardy, and maybe you and Matt Hardy can figure stuff out. Even though I really enjoy Matt Hardy and Ethan Page and Isaiah Cassidy, I really enjoy this a lot because it was something that started out on Dark and has moved over to TV, and now it's involved Stokely Hathaway and Hook, and it's fun. And I was listening because Ethan was a guest on Matt Hardy's podcast, and he said they've got some really cool things planned for the next few weeks, and they're really excited to get this out there. So I don't know what that means, but I am definitely intrigued, and I enjoy it anyway because I love them both. So I'm excited to see where this goes with them. So maybe but got off track with the Bray stuff. But yes. So I guess before we should wrap this up real quick, do you have a tally? Mel has been tallying the number of matches I've watched since Thursday. So this does not include Dynamite, Dark, and Elevation that I watched this week. And I finished the Jersey J Cup as well on Monday night.
She did not report to me.
So all that stuff was pre. God, I guess we could do what it is now, and then maybe we'll go through and add. I went with Mania weekend.
But we essentially started on Thursday when the Collective and WrestleCon and all of that stuff started.
Yes, that's where we started from, and I still, like I said, because
even ROH TV happened to be on Thursday, so I included that, and so
yes, and there's still 4 Collective shows I want to get to, and the TJPW shows I'll get to. So maybe next week we'll just have and Sam watched this too in the following week. And you're gonna catch up on some stuff too. So
I didn't even keep track of my hours, but I probably did a few.
Okay, so what are the numbers?
Based on the numbers that I have, and this is all polls are skewed anyway. You learn that when you get a Bachelor of Science in political science, is that all polls are skewed in some way. because you can't trust even algorithms to poll correctly. But anyway, so from Thursday to today, Sunday, this afternoon, Sam watched 68 matches for a total of 21 hours and 29 minutes.
Oh my God.
So again, this year, if I recall correctly, she came damn near a whole day's worth of, damn near 24 hours. You came damn near it again. 21 hours and 29 minutes.
That's insane. I mean, I got at least in those 21, almost that day's worth of wrestling, I've gotten some really good stuff.
Yep.
And some stuff I've really loved. So that's really good. I've seen, like, all the shows I've watched have been great. I was thinking about this earlier. I was trying to think what my favorite show. It's really hard because, like, I really loved Effie's Big Gay Brunch. I thought it was just a lot of fun. I don't know. Spring Break was great. I loved everything on there.
The OG, the original, the one that helped make this weekend so much more fun.
Yep. 6 years. I think he was talking about, I saw it started 6 years ago, I think is what Joey said. Of course, it's been 8 shows because I think there were a couple other, or 7 shows, but I think he said it's been 6 years or something like that, I think is what the tweet was. But yeah, so that was really great. I loved Bloodsport. Supercard was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Every match on there was great. Even the one that even the 6-man wasn't as, I mean, it was not a bad match at all. It probably could have been a TV match, but I'm glad that they got that spot. And so yeah, it's hard to pick a favorite, but I probably Supercard or maybe I don't know. Maybe Spring Break, but then Bloodsport was really good too. It's just a lot of good wrestling. So I did spend my time wisely. I got a few. I did get a few articles written in between.
Yeah, I did not keep track of any of the other things.
I did get
She did recaps. She did articles.
I did. I know, and then research. One of my editors was like, "Hey, do you want to write
the media call?"
I was on the media call,
for and Tony then and
AW. Yeah, who doesn't like Effie and Allie? I love them.
I love them. No one I want to know.
Yeah, right. And yes, and so after all of that, I can probably get to the 24 hours once I'll get over 24 hours when I get those 4 shows.
Well, you're watching WrestleMania tonight. You're already over. So.
Yeah, and that does, and all of those that also includes last night the 6 matches that I saw in person.
Yes, she did give me the title belt pro matches and the timing on that, which I appreciated.
Yes, I did.
But
yes,
I kind of like doing this. This is our second year doing WrestleCon, and
so next year it's going to be, can Sam get to 24 hours?
I think you got close last year. I have to go back to my notes because I'm going to make sure this year that I put it in the actual physical note thing that we have that's running so that we can remember from your last. I don't know if I put it in the notes, but
Tassa says he's off to Florida to bring Trump to justice and claim the bounty. Good for you. Then you'll have wrestling money and you can go watch Stardom or go to a Stardom show.
I'm going to go live in the country of Disney. Which is
you could go. There's a ton of wrestling down there.
Well, they're just taking that section over. He's they are outsmarting the governor of that state at the moment, and I think that mouse. I think that mouse your Death Star is closer than people think. Just saying.
Yes.
But
all right, this was a long. I think also. So, any predictions for tonight? Oh, okay. I think Cody wins. I think the Bloodline collapses finally. Not finally, because it's a great story, but I think they collapse. I think Roman Reigns disappears until SummerSlam. I think I want to say that Asuka wins.
It's a bold prediction.
I guess my bold prediction is Asuka wins. They won't be able to book her properly, but I think she wins. I think Edge wins. I think he has to beat Finn Balor. I mean, Finn Balor has to beat. I don't know. That was Demon Balor, and Demon Balor is hard.
He's only lost once, and it wasn't yet WWE. So
okay, so I'll take. You know what? I think that's what I think. Maybe. Well, but then this would make sense for him to lose here. If Jay White is WWE bound, I think it's tomorrow on the Raw. Too. I think it's the Raw after Mania because there's generally people who It's generally people that they like to do the big debuts there. Daza thinks that Rhonda turns on Shayna. I
Yep.
could see that.
Forgot all about
Sean
that match.
says,
Oops.
just trick the demon on the top rope. If he's been studying, well, if Christian's there, maybe the Brood can figure that out. Nikki says Roman is getting the vacation that Mox deserves. Listen, Roman does deserve it after this story. He does deserve it, but God, Mox
I'm
never
going to weigh in on the main event because
yeah, go ahead, because I know you have some different thoughts.
And actually, Grandpa Ted's Paul Fontaine there, he and I had a conversation because we both have similar feels about this. I don't see it. I think it will be the worst business decision in the history of WWE if Cody doesn't win, because it will send a message to anybody that might want to be WWE bound that they're still going to WWE.
I mean, they're going to do that anyway, but yes.
I don't see it. Where do they go with Cody after? Like, what is the...
Well, Roman can't keep the titles forever. He's got to lose them.
No, he can't keep it forever.
Right, but he's already had it. I mean, I guess they get into his
weekend in the
1,000 days.
world. It makes all the sense in the world.
Well, and you already
should win.
We had part 1 of the collapse last night.
Correct.
The Usos have the titles taken off of them.
I want the payoff.
Sure.
I don't necessarily...
I can see... I think they are going with the Cody. However, because
I can see them crawfish... it would essentially be crawfishing Cody, but I can... Because there's still the 1,000-day thing out there, and there's still all these other little tiny things that they've threaded in there. It doesn't make sense because they should be taking the bloodline down.
Yes.
But it would not, as Nikki says right here, I won't be surprised if Roman did win. Yes. I also would not be shocked.
I wouldn't be surprised because, yes, the logical story that they've been telling.
With Vince being back in the mix.
And they can get Roman to the 1,000. They can get Roman to the 1,000 days. They could get him to his 1,000 days.
They get him to 1,000 days. There's the Saudi Arabia show coming up. There's the sale issue.
Yeah, so they could easily go both ways. It'll be dumb as hell if they don't. But yes, I get. But yes, and we've all of us here have watched WWE for a very long time. We know how they operate. Most of us have been able to escape.
It could very well be just that.
Most of us have been able to escape the WWE brain. But yes, we do understand that. And Sean says, will Braun debut after his father's debacle this weekend? He could tomorrow night, and he could also do it to get people to hopefully stop talking about his dad. Maybe it's like that
would be actually a good way to distract.
Let's put Braun on. Let's debut Braun. And I mean, they could do it tonight.
That. Why not do Jay White versus Braun Breaker on Monday tomorrow?
Because I'm still holding out hope that Jay White is working. That he's working with Don Callis, and he is behind the Elite being attacked.
And then he can show up and say that he's healed out Scotiabank Center.
Yes,
still
exactly.
He'll still work out some way that everyone knew that he was going to end up in AEW and back with New Japan, because he's not wrestling. He's not wrestling in Japan. He's wrestling in Canada.
Right, exactly.
Which the rule is that he can't wrestle in Japan.
Yeah. So if they have Forbidden Door 3 in Japan, then they'll have to get around it. But they got.
I mean, if he was going to show up, they should wait until Forbidden Door to do it.
They should. It's possible. I'm still holding out hope, but I'm also no better.
I know.
So I'm holding. I'm expecting him to show up tomorrow, but I'm holding out hope that he will not.
Yes.
So Sean says Cody has the potential to be the biggest all-time babyface since John Cena, which is absolutely 100% correct. WWE loves that trope, and I expect a huge foreign heel. Don't let it be Anthony Ogogo, because that was his downfall in AEW.
Yeah.
Besides the neck heel
to appear to challenge Cody.
Okay.
That's fair.
With a foreign heel be Jay White.
Walter. He's foreign, right?
Yeah, that could work. They could do that too.
Walter versus Cody.
Cody definitely, because
some people say Seth Rollins. I don't care.
Daza says TK has a surprise this Wednesday.
That's right. You know what?
During that conference call, he mentioned that call.
Wait.
that surprise like 50. Yes, he does move the. Can you move the other banner?
I will move the other banner. Hang on. Here we go.
Yes,
Guys,
he
this
does
was
have an.
announced on Friday night.
It was
Okay.
announced during the media call multiple times, and even before
Really?
he let us go, he was like, "Don't forget to tune on to Dynamite for the important announcement." So I don't know if it's an important announcement where he's announcing a reality show. Maybe he's announcing the Saturday night show, or if it's an announcement that it's he's signed Jamie Blanco. Maybe he's
El Hijo del Blanco.
maybe he signed Vikingo away from AAA.
Maybe they're going
I
to
don't.
defend the
AAA is
AAA.
like,
The AAA title is going to be defended at the
hopefully,
next Double
though,
or
it
Nothing.
is not. We heard. Oh, I don't know if you heard this. So Mel and I, if you've been watching for a few weeks, Mel and I watch MLW and we talk about it all the time. They released Real One yesterday.
Oh,
Apparently,
Enzo Amore.
yeah.
Went
So
away.
hopefully that is not the surprise
Oof,
announcement,
that
because
would suck.
it was rough enough watching him on MLW, even though he got knocked out by Mance Warner and he got ran over by Mance Warner. I was like, please move Mance away from him. He is too good to be wrapped up with this, so please move him. Which they are doing. Last week's story was. I hope they find a TV deal for them, because they're doing some really fun stuff over there, and they've got a big story heading up, and it looks like Alex Hammerstone's teaming up with SGC, which is going to be crazy if that happens. And
Yeah,
so
man.
hopefully they get a TV deal.
Oh, SGC. That's who I saw. That's who I saw wrestled.
Yes, and
Briscoe.
SGC, I heard, had a really good match at DDT x GCW. I heard some really good stuff about that
Nice.
match. Sean says the only storyline that would fit, in my opinion, for Jay White is the US picture with Theory retaining. Throws a monkey wrench in that idea. That would have made sense with Cena. And Austin Theory is nowhere near Jay White's level of anything. Dasa said, look at the font, must be serious, talking about our
The
image.
Tony Khan's.
Yes. This show has been officially been longer than John Wick 3. This has been longer than any show we've done. The Braves game started and ended.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's been on my TV. We lost, so it's all right. We lost 4-0, so it's okay that I missed it.
Well, the
It's
good news is you only
on.
have 160 more games.
I know. I know we didn't get the sweep today. We got the series one, but the game's on, and then I have alerts coming on my phone, so I've been watching. I was like, oh, we're losing, so we're fine.
Love it.
And
Tiger's opening day isn't home openers until this week, so our technical opening day is this week.
Sean said his side of the story is interesting. I saw the headline. I did not read it because I don't know that I believe anything that comes out of his mouth.
That's true too, Nikki.
So I don't know that I want to read it and give him any credit for that. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he is telling the truth. It was basically a reference saying that he didn't want. They were going to have him beat. Or was it Richard Holiday, who just came back from beating cancer, but he was kind of I wasn't following MLW closely, but I think he was a pretty big deal in there, so I don't know that they would have Enzo beat. Like, that seems a little far-fetched, but maybe I'm wrong because I don't watch MLW. I mean, I don't know them as closely, so maybe. Nikki said most of WWE is not on Jay White's level. Also a fact.
And Jim Valley, real quick before you read Sean's comment here, Jim Valley made a great point, and we talked about this in the chat as well, is that do WWE fans even know who Jay White is?
No.
Like, that
they
is...
don't.
As soon as he shows up, they will be like, "Oh my god, greatest thing ever!"
You're like, "Yeah, it's Jay." Well, and that's the same thing with even Kenny Omega. Like, if Kenny Omega went there, they would be like, "Oh my god, Kenny Omega is the greatest wrestler in the world."
But they know who Kenny Omega is.
Finally, they do. But if this had been 3 years ago,
no. If Kenny Omega became a WWE wrestler, he would be the greatest wrestler of all time now.
Right.
We could say that, and they wouldn't argue.
I think a lot of people don't know Jay White, which is sad for them. But what I'm concerned, if they WWE gets Jay White, they are not going to get New Japan Jay White, and New Japan Jay White is phenomenal. I've said it before. Jay White is my favorite heel.
Oh, he's great.
He is not going to be. They're going to tone him down. They're going to give him some. They'll probably strap him with some dumb name. Even though I do like Jamie Blanco, I think I enjoy that, and I enjoy calling him that. But they're probably going to make him Kiwi King or some bullshit like
That's
that.
what I
And
think. Yeah.
they're probably he's not gonna be able to, he's so good at promos, he's not gonna be able to do the promos that he does. It's gonna be a watered down, and he'll still probably do great because Jay is just that good. But I don't trust them. Sean says that Enzo wasn't under contract with MLW, just his handshake deal. That was a long handshake deal because he's been there for like 2 or 3 years. He says he never wanted a challenge for a title there and was booked without his knowledge to fight for the title and walked away. That sounds like he's afraid to wrestle Alex Hammerstone, is how I read that. Because Sean says to take anything Enzo says with a grain of salt. Which Nikki and I talked about it last night. We wondered if, because on last week's episode, he lost to Microman and they stretchered Enzo out, and we were like, did they know that was going to be? I don't know how far in advance they film Underground, but I was like, did they know he was leaving? So they booked him to lose to Microman. But Microman's cool as hell, so I'm glad that happened. If that's the last we see of Enzo in MLW, the man got ran over by a car and then he lost to Microman with the help of Mance Warner.
Bye.
It's fan. I love it. Sean says the Monday Raw after Mania is for the hardcore fans that stay all weekend from Friday through Monday. That is true, but I think but Jay is a big enough wrestler that whether you know who he is or not, it makes sense to debut him here because they have historically, I mean, I know they kind of got away from it, but that's historically where they've debuted people like, Paige. That's where they brought her up from NXT. She beat AJ Lee for the Divas title that night. Like, they typically in the past, not always, because I think they kind of got away from it a little bit, but they typically bring up somebody or do something big. So I would say, regardless if people know who Jay White is, if you're going to debut him, this would be. But then again, this is WWE, and they don't.
He could very well show up and help everybody at the end of the night or something.
Right.
Or challenge Cody.
Yeah, yes.
If Cody wins.
Yes. Sean says, perfect time to debut a guy from outside of WWE. AJ was an exception with his Rumble debut. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely agree with that. And AJ was, that was
he
such
was
a great...
unique. That was a unique situation.
Yeah, that was really unique. And I think, well, no, I was going to say, I think some people were familiar with him, but I don't know how many people were watching TNA when he was there. He was great there, but I don't know how many were watching him. And we have just hit the 3-hour mark.
All right.
So I think we should...
I can't wait to export this audio. It should only take about an hour.
Oh God, the audio people.
Okay.
This is going to be it. You're going to have to watch it like, they're going to have to listen like WrestleMania. They're going to have to listen to like night 1 and night 2 of our show. Oh my God.
Well, except for the people who tuned in live, which
we appreciate that. Could they pair Jay with the OC and AJ? I've heard that's possible, but haven't they been putting OC like on Main Event or whatever their Hulu show is, and isn't that where they fight now? And oh wait, is AJ cleared? Because his ankle, he had the ankle injury back before Rumble, I think it was, and. Yeah, and so I'm wondering.
Woefully behind on my Observer situation.
So I wonder if he's cleared. I have heard that there will be no Randy Orton this weekend, and that Dave was told to put that out there that from the top that he will not, because people also wonder, because yesterday was his birthday, like if he was gonna come back. Sean says because AJ has been hurt, he could be ready for Raw. It's certainly possible. And if Jay has made the decision to go to WWE, that is the best case scenario for him, is to be put with AJ. And then they fight over Bullet Club. Because now I hear there's, speaking of
Bullet Club's everywhere.
Yeah, well, Bullet Club is everywhere. And now I've heard ELP has challenged Finley to be the leader, which is what we expected.
He did it on April Fool's, though, so
didn't he challenge him for something?
Well, yesterday on April Fool's,
I did see the tweet,
ELP tweeted that he has taken over Bullet Club officially, and he may have challenged for it. I think that did happen.
We kind of figured that that's where they were going anyway, that Finley wasn't just going to straight up be it. I would hope so. Sean says, does Brandy and Liberty come out to celebrate with Cody? They better.
I hope so.
I was going to say bring Pharaoh too, but I don't want Pharaoh to get scared of the pyro and the crowd.
Yeah, me too.
So, but Pharaoh's the best.
That's a big place. This even bigger than some of the places they've been at with Pharaoh. Mm-hmm. So
I hope so, though. That would be
the doggies at home.
Yes. I hope that some people I know want Brandy to be on TV so that she gets speared. I've heard that. They are.
Oh, guys. I'm not a Brandy fan either, but I don't need to like bag on her. It's no good.
No, it doesn't. Okay, so I think we're gonna end for real this time. This has been like that
Really
conversation.
real. Thank you guys for hanging out for so long. We really
Garrett,
appreciate
please don't
it.
yell at us. Jeremy, please don't yell at us. Chase Owen still isn't running Bullet Club. He's not running it, but they clearly has some info or some dirt or something to even still be in it with him. Well, I guess you can make that argument for Fale as well, but
we got Best of Super Juniors coming up, and I'm sure some of the veterans will interfere. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, and thanks for the conversation. Thanks for interacting with us. It makes it a lot of fun, and for everybody who interacted, and even if you didn't interact and you just watched and somehow listened to us for 3 hours, we appreciate that. And if this is your first time tuning in, we typically max out at we try to max out at an hour and a half. Sometimes it goes between an hour and 2, depending on if Vince is doing stupid stuff.
Right, of course. Which happens.
Nikki says
Thank
fun
you, Nikki.
show.
Thanks
Daza
for
says NWO versus Bullet Club. Listen, that would actually that would be fun because I love them.
You never know.
Sean says like, comment, and subscribe. Yes. Like, comment, subscribe.
See, we've got this. I got it. Thank you.
Follow us on YouTube and on Twitter and Instagram and subscribe
and the Fight Game Media Plus Network. Make sure you sign up there. We got a lot of fun stuff. We shifted some things around. You don't get the Joshi Show for free anymore. You gotta go get Scotty Wrestling on the Patreon, which is this right here.
Yeah,
but
$5 a month.
$5 a month.
That's the YouTube one. But you can subscribe to YouTube because there are, before you subscribe to Patreon, if you're not ready to commit to the $5 a month, you can go to the YouTube page and there's clips from different shows so you can get an idea of what's on the Patreon before you subscribe. And there's people cover Impact, there's people cover WWE, there's AEW specific shows, New Japan specific shows. There's MMA. There's some Creed stuff was on there. The movie Creed, not the band Creed.
Thank God.
Then there's our show where we just talk about whatever the hell we're watching, which typically tends to be AEW, but we watch MLW, as you've seen. We watch indie wrestling. We watch a lot of New Japan, and we watch indie wrestling. Talk about that too. We talk about candles that we buy.
We have home and wellness segments here and there.
We do. We have a hat segment every week. Daza said they did a movie show and didn't ask me. No, the Creed stuff I think was stuff that Garrett had recorded previously
with someone else that is a friend of his.
Then now that Creed 3 is coming out, they put them back up on the network.
He did all the Rockies with I believe it was Andres Hill from over at
so he did republish them, Daza. He has not done a new one.
But you can yell at him. You know where he is.
I was gonna say you can yell at him if you want.
You're in the Discord, friend. You go get him.
I think he's still on a weekend away with his wife, so maybe wait till Monday.
Well, it is. I believe it's his wife's birthday is also this weekend. He's down in
I saw
they went to the beach and stuff. They had time. He did actually.
I saw his Insta story, and she was beating him at all the board games.
Good for her. Go Crystal.
Yes. So,
girls rule.
Yes. Okay, I think we're leaving for real this time.
All right, we're going. I'm going to turn this thing off. You guys have a great week. We will talk to you next week.
And I promise we will not talk to you for 3 hours next week.
We will not.
Especially because it's Easter, so hopefully you'll come hang out. Yeah. Hopefully you'll come hang out with us regardless.
So have a Good Friday. Yes. And we'll see you guys next week at 1 p.m. Eastern. And we really appreciate you hanging out. Yes. Have a great rest of WrestleMania weekend.